Wow, a lot of confidence for Team Spirit coming out from Tsunami there. And yes, that was indeed how those grand finals went. However, since then, I think it is very safe to say that Team Spirit, over the entire 2021 year, fought the most improved team in Dota 2 on the planet.
Yeah, and just still playing like it's not TI, I guess you could say. Like, not feeling the pressure so much is what I mean. Because I watched them, I got to cast them and watch them throughout both of the seasons, and I was big fans of them. Tokyo was playing with super confidence. Some games, maybe a little bit too much confidence, but being able to see players go up onto even grand finals doing this versus a team like LGD, it's amazing. And you could see there, they were still taking risks in a lot of this game. They were committing a lot of spells, like even over-committing at times, and it ended up working out anyway.
Yeah, I think we've seen that multiple times when Team Spirit seemed a little down in a game. They don't really seem to care. I don't know if that's the right word to say it, but they'll try to make the plays anyway, even if they're not ahead in the game, even if they're not 20k gold ahead. If they were 20k gold down, they'll still try. That's how they were able to get to this point, Lizard.
And that's the right winning mentality. When you're 20k gold behind and you go safe and you buy yourself that BKB instead of that one extra item that could perhaps win you the team fight, you're already signing the defeat. So I really like the mentality and the approach to the game that Team Spirit is bringing to this TI.
They give up this aura where it's like, we might eventually lose or get knocked out of TI, but that's okay. And it turns out just playing with that kind of carefree, we're just going to go out and, play to win, and, anything can happen kind of attitude has really just worked wonders for them.
I really cannot wait already. Sorry, for True Sight, I was seeing like multiple conversations going on. You saw Zao8 giving a little bit of a speech. We saw just Yatoro just, having some comments back and forth. Ooh, I can't wait. I'm getting way too far ahead of myself with all those conversations. But I would like to hear from you guys what you think needs to be changed in game number 2, because we do talk about learning and adapting Fog and in between a best of 5. That's when it matters. These 15 minutes that these players have had, key moments.
Yeah, I think I know Io is an incredibly strong hero at the moment, but I actually think Io might be one of those that you maybe step away from, because TI, I think we've said it ad nauseum, it starts to come down to these big team fights. It comes down to these big little plays that you can do. Sure, Io can do those little plays, but ease of execution is a thing too. So I think for PSG LGD, I want to see them go back to their guns, put Xingqiu on his normal heroes where he's going to be able to scale, have a bigger impact than just I'm a tether, I'm an overcharge to heal. I want them to diversify and let him also become that kind of carry mode too. Yeah, he's shown how much he can do.
And when you talk about ease execution, they had no stuns that game. Disruptor Glimpse, they would try to cast his Tide, and then he'd just TP out in front of 4 heroes multiple times. So I think a lot of it is going to come back to the draft, simplify things, pick a few more stuns, and just make your game plan much easier to execute.
I completely agree. Just a little bit more team fight for PSG LGD, and what they really have to get is that late game potential. In the last game, they truly didn't have it. And when you're on a timer, that 20-25 minute mark in which you need to break the enemy and you're under pressure, under emotions, you're bound to make mistakes. So just play it safe, pick a hero that scales well into the late game.
Yeah, I mean, if we take a look back to the first 10 minutes of the previous game we just watched, I mean, both teams were taking it very safe. It was actually a fairly slow start to the game, which, based on draft, we were not really expecting, Gods, because that Naga Siren just had all the freedom in the world.
Yeah, I don't think PSGLG had a draft that was going to scale late game if they didn't get ahead and play aggressive. Usually it's their style to just go around, run at their opponents, look for these kills. And, when you're playing this Ursa as your carry with a mid Pangolier, you don't have that ability to scale, so they had to be a lot more aggressive there.
They really did. And we know that PSG can recover in a series, so I'm very curious to see what they bring to the table in this game 2. Of course, also, this will be something that Silent and Poshka will have discussed at length, because they know PSG will come up with a new plan as well. So it's, it's one-upping each other constantly in this best of 5. I want to just also quickly remind everyone that it is so phenomenal that we have 9 out of the 10 players on stage being they're only the first or the second international that they're at. We are seeing, I kind of feel like the new generation of Dota players here on stage, Fog.
Oh god, don't say this.
No, it's time. No,
okay.
This is true.
But then the older people are going to start retiring, and then we got
No, but
7
they
no
will
people coming for our jobs. So
Okay,
no.
well they are already here,
Yeah,
and you're
it's
still
too late.
on the
It's too late.
Too late for
It's too
that.
late.
savor the moment.
No, it is truly beautiful. I love when you see these young guns and just having this confidence. I think that's the biggest thing that everybody's just said is confidence.
Love
Spirit's
it.
just been oozing it.
Yeah,
The future of Dota is bright. When you have all these young players coming out of multiple different regions, it really means, the next TIs and years to come are going to have some amazing new talent.
Yeah, are you a little bit jealous, Lizzie?
I'm very jealous. I'm super emotional. Watching Team Spirit in particular because I was in that Eastern Europe Tier 2, Tier 3 teams. This was a dream that for some is happening at the
Yeah.
moment. It's becoming
I mean,
reality.
All
I'm
you
also
need to
very
do,
happy.
apparently, is on day 2 or day 3 of the event, you're like, Dota gods, they need to be worshipped. You shave off your head, you donate it, and here you are, grand finals.
There you go.
That's your Toro
it.
story right there. In case you're wondering why you look so different from all the pictures that you're seeing, that's the reason. He literally said in an interview, I felt like I needed to sacrifice something to the Dota gods. My hair.
I like how they're doing all these like little things too, where you're saying like I even saw when they won the last game too. Mira's like waving at somebody in the
Yeah.
crowd, right? He's just like, hey, yeah, we won, guys, cheer for us. It's like, wait a minute.
I am very sad that this is not an actual crowd because of course
Yeah.
we have the LGD crowds coming in from our sound sweetener, but now Team Spirit doesn't have those crowds because I know, like, you've probably seen in a lot of different streams that for example the Eastern European audience right now, all-time high. Like, they are incredible. They are, of course, big fans of the guy on your screen right now and his whole squad, and they are rooting for them. And if we could hear them in an arena, we would not have been able to hear anything else, guys.
Every crowd loves an underdog too. Like, wherever you are in the world, this Team Spirit team would have won the hearts of the fans. Wherever you go in the world, there's always a huge amount of supporters for PSG LGD. Obviously a crowd is missed, and we hope to see it again in future years. But these two teams still producing amazing Dota with or without a crowd.
Yeah, so what do we want to see in this game too? Like, are there any heroes that we feel like Yatoro still has to play?
I want to see a collapse Mars. You talked about the
okay.
IO maybe going through. Give us IO collapse Mars.
All right. Well, we are going to find out if we will get a Collapse Mars or what else will he play. We're finding out right now.
Team Spirit versus PSG LGD. Grand Finals, Game 2.
Team Spirit's turn to pick.
Second pick in LGD reform graded. Why do you think that is?
I mean, there's definitely a big Radiant advantage, so no surprise that whoever gets to choose side will choose Radiant. And it does seem that now we have two teams that are gonna keep clashing at each other, and they're questioning the execution versus the theory, because apparently Team Spirit wants second pick and LGD wants first pick. And I think also the way the draft starts is another case of that. This is the exact same scenario game on. So this is LGD stating that, hey, there's probably something we could have done better, maybe draft-wise, but our approach to these games is the right one, and we're sticking with it.
Yeah, no, I always love to see it when you have teams that stick with their guns, and you could say that teams really happy with how the choices went down. But they like the first, second pick, or they feel like they're able to punish them being hard or whatever. I think LGD always should be left with okay, now we at least know this is what they want, and blah blah blah, and this is a best of 5, so this is also then going to be getting to know each other better. This outcome of this game is going to be super important for how the rest will shape out. LGD, they might feel something if they're winning or if they're losing. There's always a chance that they keep going after the same thing, but then, this game, they're going to come up to see. I'm predicting Team Spirit going for something new again for Yatoro. I think they're feeling themselves a lot and are drafting a lot also on feeling. You also heard Dean talk about that. They're drafting on feeling. And you also see now LGD decided to switch it up or kind of go away from what happened last year, like lack of AE, lack of team fight, and they instantly lock in and left with the IO to give the IO that.
I want to say that, so Team Spirit, right, they really shook LGD. Like, they proved that they can beat them at their own game. And I feel like no team so far in the tournament has done that. And I was kind of sad as a Dota enthusiast, like, come on, like, if you're going to let the Aegis, somebody has to make you kind of work for it. And Team Spirit did that, and it's awesome. And now we're gonna see, can LGD show us, the level 2, the level 3, and then it's gonna bring even better Dota. What I really love about Team Spirit is they had the same opener open to them. They could have ET tied again.
Yep.
And, they respect LGD. They respect them so much that they expect them to be ready to punish them for the same job. So they know, like, you know what, we're not giving you what you think we're gonna do. You're going to have to think on the spot. We don't want you to come to this draft with, 1 hour of preparation on how to do it better. You have to think on the spot. Bane Magnus. It's a beautiful approach. It's mind games between the drafters, and props to Miposhka and Silent for pulling this one out.
Yeah, I think it's amazing. This is like a big mental game. It's always been, it always will be. But it starts here. It starts with the draft, and again, so many decisions are being made between the draft, between the two teams. So like, this is what we're doing, this is what we're going to do to you now, and we're trying to throw you off guard. That being said,
I do want to say that there's something very interesting in my opinion is that last game, LGD, when they played this was, they're very much looking at connecting early with nothing to say. And connecting to a Pangolier that doesn't have the best matchup, it's hard. Penguin doesn't really have a way to take over the game. Leshrac is that is scary. Leshrac most of the time wins it. Hard farm, he can, you start accelerating Leshrac as a Wisp, he might take over the game. And I feel like with the Pangolier, it's not the same.
it's a lot more abuse to be had with the Leshrac. You can give the mana you need. Timings are something else. Like this going back to base, this not being able to dive, IO can fix all of it for you.
He will take the towers, he will kill anything, any camp, he'll take the entire game if he has to. And that's something very beautiful. Another thing to mention, in my opinion, is we have not seen Collapse yet out of his, trifecta.
Radiant's turn to bat. The Dire get a ban. Welcome back, Landlubber. Get any salt in your lungs? Seconds. 5 seconds remaining. Finally came up for air. Dire's turn to hit.
They don't reveal anything more on the draft, or?
There's always arguments for both. Like if you wanna, depends on how you go and play Dota sometimes, depends on what types of players you have on your team. If you see the good matchup, theoretically, of course, there's many arguments for showing the good matchup or trying to address it and how strong the win condition that you're going for your carry. There's also another way where it's like, you love your mid laner so much that you're going to pick your carry hero and make sure that there's left right mid and make sure there's no man movement happening and then he gets the last pick win condition or timing condition or whatever it might be. It all depends. If you pick Anthony Rizzo, if you pick some carry hero here and you say nothing can beat it in the game, it makes a lot of sense too because you have to stabilize the game. And you need to have a really good start and the better the start the better because you're going to need him very early.
Did you check your mark? Yeah, there it is. So that's one of the. So you have these combos, right, that are very hard to pick, and there's only 2 scenarios in which you can actually pick them. And probably that's one of the strengths of first pick is first pick has the double pick. Right, you check your mark.
Yes, there's that, and also you feel like quite often with this race you might want to commit just cause it's going to be hard to counter and there's this and that. But don't you think the winner was protect pick against this?
But potentially, maybe it was even a setup for the Morph. I think, like, the way I look at it is they're trying to take the win condition away from the Mac +1, and I think Shaker Morph has a way to play fights and scale into the macro zone, in my opinion.
Yeah, they do. But I think I don't know if they thought about it, but Willow Bramble is one of the best abilities.
It is.
The Shaker Morph.
Yeah.
That means you can't just go through the fight. If there's Bramble on the ground, you instantly get pulled down. I don't know if that's what they were thinking, but I also think, like Seth said, they're maybe threatening this Morphin to come up. And if they have an answer now they're trapped in. Where they feel like they have an amazing answer to this.
There's many things about why the Shaker Morph here makes a lot of sense. It's not stoppable, drafting-wise. They're picking both heroes, in the same phase. You cannot stop it. Mechanically, drafting-wise, you can't stop it. The AA cannot be picked anymore because they have shown the Bane and they have shown the Widow. Meaning, like the big counters to the Shaker Morph are kind of hard to pick for Team Spirit. It's a win condition. It's a very strong, combo that skills you do anything. Very powerful second phase from LGD, and that's what I think why they are the best first pick team in the tournament, because they understand the weakness of first pick, but most importantly they have used the strength of the drafting order of first pick. They're like, you cannot stop me from getting what I want, and what I want, I think it beats anything.
Yep. So from your guys' perspective, of the two drafts, like if you were in their shoes, which draft would you actually prefer to have right now?
It's hard pick. I kind of want to lean toward LGD, but I don't know how you feel about it.
I would say LGD in a way, but at the same time, I can also see where Team Spirit is going with this. A lot of people will say that Lash, Shaker, Morph are all heroes that are good against Willow, but I see amazing Bramble value here versus the Lash, the IO, you can break the tether, you can do a lot of stuff in team fights for the Shaker and the Morph. And it's a quick lineup. Luna is able to hit these timings where Roshan is threatened or towers are threatened very early. And Shaker Morph didn't get a lot of time. They usually don't come online until 20-something.
So I make the case against, so Johan is vouching for Team Spirit. I'm going to try to vouch for LGD for what they have going for them. I think they're one of the best teams in the world, understanding how to make a Leshrac scale also through the Leshrac chart. They have abused that in the online tournaments prior to TI. And now the Shaker, plus the Morph, plus the Lesh and the shards, like the scaling, the stun, AoE stuns in the team fight later, it's going to be crazy. I think they have the Wisp, Lesh, as we talked about, they're covering it so much. They ban the Invoker, they ban the Lina, they ban the Void Spirit, they ban the Kunkka. There's going to be very few mid laners that are going to be able to deal with this Lesh running at you with the Wisp battering to him, overcharge him or not. So, and they do have very powerful things going into the game. Of course, they have the pick-off, the map, Leshrac shoving the lanes, relocate, the Shaker threat, bursting you out of fog on the map, Shaker more scaling. There's a lot going on, in my opinion, for LGD. And yet again, you look at the 5v5, you look at the lineups, and you can theorize all you want. Now you also have to keep track, and that's why drafting is such a complex thing. You have to keep track of how the lanes are going to play out. Because in Team Spirit, they destroy the laning phase. None of that matters. The game makes me over in the 10.
So you guys are thinking of thing right now? Because in my head, I thought LGD, they're going to pick Rubik, right? Counter the skewer, but instead they go with a Nature's Prophet. Maybe a stronger laner into that Luna.
Very strong into the Luna Widow or Luna Bane. No matter how you look at it, this Prophet lane should be heavily LGD favored. And it complements very well what's happening. The Leshrac pressure with the Wisp, now you have treants, meaning you do get a kill, you get a tower. Prophet connects, Prophet ulti. I think it plays very well to their game. It's going to stabilize the game by, slowing down the Luna, winning the lane. It's going to connect to the Wisp and the Leshrac, and it's going to add to the global pressure on the map.
Prophet is also one of the quickest heroes, you could say, in Dota. You pick this like you pick an Edge, you pick an Ursa. There might just be a different Dota game coming your way. You might not be allowed to play as slow or as fast as you hope, because this hero adds so much dimension. And yeah, I think this IO Lash Prophet, the timings that they can hit before minute 15, they can break this game.
Yeah, we see Team Spirit, they're trying to respond a little bit to that pressure with some outspan from long range, but I'm not sure if they have enough. Like, I look at the 4 heroes from LGD side, and that collapse, it looks terrifying, honestly, onto mid, onto a safe lane, anything.
I see how both teams can fight. I will still put a lot, like if you take the laning phase aside, and let's say that both teams end up with some farm and items, you have this, you go for Screw phase right now, and then you also have the Willow Bramble and the Pop. I think both teams can fight.
Yeah, and now we're going to hear from Sumi, who has an interview with Shawi about this draft.
Thank you so much, Sumi. And yes, Trent, we are here. They're prepped and ready. Very confident sounding coach for LGD. How you feeling right now about this matchup?
I don't know. Everyone thought that every other team was getting ready for Team Spirit the whole way through, right? You know, constantly doubting them, thinking they weren't going to make it, and constantly giving Collapse these big heroes that they just discussed, like the Magnus. So we'll see. Game 1, they weren't ready. Maybe Game 2, they've got a solution.
It's going to be so interesting to watch. I feel like this team has really just ridden off the back of the momentum that they've gained from the very early goings of the group stages, and they haven't looked back once. The thing that I'm really interested to watch for is if they can keep that up. Like, I feel like sometimes when you get in these huge matchups and you go up one game, Team Spirit now there, you can sense the victory coming, and I want to see if they can keep up that same carefree attitude we've seen from them so far.
Just playing Dota, just having fun with each other.
Yeah.
Surely that, that's gotta feel like at some point you've gotta be thinking like, oh, are we gonna win, guys? Is this actually gonna happen?
It's crazy, but we'll see if it ends up happening here as Mira spots out a couple of those treants that are trying to get a little bit of vision. So interesting things to watch for in this as far as a laning matchup is concerned. We'll see where that Nature's Prophet ends up at and how much pressure they can put on. Very annoying hero to deal with in the early goings.
Yeah, very much a discussion of timings really throughout all the game today. I feel like we're finding that one team seems to have a very clear, we want to do this in 20 minutes. And the team's like, we just want to hang out. We kind of scale.
ZQ gonna have to back out there on the shaker. And 3 bounty runes again for Team Spirit, just like last game.
I will say, I believe this game that LGD had a very good idea of what was going on. I think they completely saw that puck pick coming. I think they banned around the fact that, like, yeah, that's going to be left in. We're okay with that. It's a go-to hero versus the Morphling. I wouldn't say they're really surprised. Toronto, obviously an amazing player, but, the puck not exactly one of the ones that's been, popping up the rampages here for Team Spirit.
True enough.
Those spirits tend to scale just like a little bit more, and you kind of lack that bit on the puck.
It'll be something to watch for, though. He can make those good rotations, as obviously the Nature's Prophet on Faith Beyond can also move into multiple different lanes. So we'll keep our eyes on it. And like you said, I think both drafts have, like, a very clear identity behind them, right? You got this Magnus that's going to start off the fights occasionally after the puck comes in. You've got the Morph Shaker as a potential danger later on. But it is, of course, going to be played on that support Shaker this time. So see if you can get into the items at the same timing we've seen for the cores.
Yeah, it certainly seemed like PSG LGD were very much ready for that, right? The Dark Willow came out and right away they're just like, yeah. We saw that earlier. We know. You want the Morph from the Willow. We're taking the Morph from the Shaker. It's pretty good too, but yeah, the support Shaker has worked as well. So, well, a little close there, but he's alright, cool.
He's going to be able to dodge away from that one. You can see here also a nice little interrupt on the pull-through that came through, and Faith Beyond steps over to the side. This, of course, sets up some free farm for the Luna. Normal laning shenanigans and the power that you have as Bane in these early goings.
Yeah, it's frustrating for the Bane too, because like you're so used to being able to dominate a lot of situations as Bane, while Maposhka now actually trapped in by a Fisher with the treants on top of him.
A lot of damage out there onto this poor old Bane. Can they run him down? A couple more hits is all they need. Not quite able to get that last right click in. Maposhka with the brain sap and the runaways, and you still might be able to run him down. That move's advantage, but
all right, good choice, Zinkyu. Good choice.
Keeps it safe that time.
But yeah, I mean, Bane, obviously you're used to trading favorably and having answers to like someone trying to pull your wave. But with the Nightmare and the trees being that they actually have some counterplay here to like trying to set up for plays as well in the lane. So it's a good pick for the Prophet.
Let's see if they play that much more freely. You can see that they're already off to a hot start. 11 and 2 right there in the top lane is down bottom Y. Gonna take one little punch there from the Dark Willow and a Fissure block off Garo on the other side, but not within that tower range. So we'll be able to get away with some extra damage. Tango, as well as the Polyboy through, and he's fine.
That's a nice Fissure though. There's a pretty good chunk of damage on him there just to harass when he has a single Tango left. No salves currently on Maposhka, so you know that courier, makes the call, brings it up, and it's gonna be running with a salve in that top lane now. So if there's any chance here for LG to score a kill, it might be sooner rather than later.
Too true. Gotta look for that opening.
Down really trying to pressure too. They keep pump taking this Fissure up top.
If you catch him on the wrong side of it, it's going to be a ton of damage out with those treants. But even without it, right? Just the one Fissure and a couple punches from Faith Beyond, he hits really hard. They will be bringing over that courier now, Maposhka, just to make sure this one does not get sniped by ZinQ.
Hopefully you're not losing it to a Shaker.
Yeah, true enough.
But this bottom lane, lots of harass being spammed out here from Miriam Collapse as well. But it's a Morphling, it's an IO. Morphling in itself a very frustrating hero to lane versus due to the regen mechanics, the ability to get more strength and energy, but comboed up with an IO. It's pretty rough trying to get a kill. But you know, more players, they tend to go for some of these overextensions, so maybe they'll get a bit greedy there.
Right, and even, you know, just the pressuring and forcing him to switch over attribute shift, it makes it a little bit harder for the Morph to last hit. So it's not all bad, as Xingqiu is going to make that big move over underneath the ward and gonna seal away the small camp. How many does it get? Not a ton, but nothing to say. Able to sneak a few as well.
Alright, interesting stuff there. It does sacrifice the top water room potential there. Oh, I say that, actually. Paposhka
Moves in. Toronto, Tokyo. Gonna be able to pick up this water rune and maybe get some extra pressure onto Xingqiu. Jumps forward. There's the first blood. Toronto, Tokyo draws it.
well done by Paposhka. Like, not even just, he basically baited, right? Let's not keep him a little too close. Get a first blood for Team Spirit. They're off to a hot start in game 2 after surprising pretty much everyone by going up one game. I mean, I agree. I thought their draft was better last game, but, you know, we just keep wondering, like, how long will the magic last with this team?
It does seem like just an unbelievably improbable run. To think that this team came all the way through in the qualifiers. We're down 2-1 in that series against Empire, and now up one game against the, you know, odds-on favorites. Let's collapse here, pull back. They do some good damage there on Ame, but he will not be under too much pressure from his man. He's going to get the deny. Oh, cheeky, I like to see it some more.
That's a more player. That's what that is right there. And, you know, nothing to say. Maybe not a Pango player. I have some theories, guys. I mean, that was his, as far as I can find, mind you, I looked pretty quickly, that was his second professional Pango match.
Yeah.
Now, they played a lot of Pango when he wasn't available to play for PSG LGD. And, of course, Coach Xiao Chapa stepping in, playing a masterful Pango, you know, really well. And we've had this discussion of, like, how he sort of controls the macro game to help these players so they can think more about their own heroes and their own item builds, and they have a clear identity of, like, what they're supposed to do in this game. But if you're not experienced with the heroes, that formula doesn't work so well.
True enough.
But he's got less draft now. Much better hero for nothing to say.
Very comfortable. Comfy time for nothing to say. And so far, he's doing fairly well. The early first blood on the Toronto Tokyo giving that puck the advantage as another stack up on those camps. And now, trying to scout for these runes. Ploshka just within vision there, and Nightmare. It's going to use a lot of mana there. And Toronto Tokyo gets the haste down bottom, so a little bit of luck and a little bit of good rotations. Helping out Team Spirit.
Yeah, even threatening to have the TP in there from Posho lead. All right, and actually just starts going right back on the aggressive. Well, only got a sentry though, no obs taken away there. So we heard a lot of discussion actually last game from Insania talking about like the power rooms and the strength you're gonna have from that right here, especially for a punk, a hero that's really capable of trying to abuse that, because you want to be making these early rotations with the Dream Coil, and it looks like not gonna secure another kill there.
Yeah, I think it's an important point to make is that you've got to watch so carefully on any of these other side lanes. If LGD overstep, they get a little bit close to a tower, Puck could easily make that rotation and kill off a couple.
Ooh, Maposha gets spotted on the way out here. So did Sentry on the pillar, was kind of checking around, finding some wards, and then putting obs down by the Ancients. And there is a Sentry here on Xingqiu, so this can be pretty painful. Oh, he's got it right.
I think yes. I was right on the edge.
That's a huge D ward. That was a lot of time spent for Maposha.
At the same time, LGD going to move in and head up top. Why? And nothing to say together. They're going to try and make a kill here onto Luna a little bit far out. And we'll see if they can connect with this one, but
this is a tower kill gang. Yeah. They're ganking that tower. It's not moving. I don't have to worry about Luna. She's kind of fast, you know. She's got some night vision. Maxed out Lunar Blessing. But the tower doesn't move. Turn around. They're going to move in. Next hero. Did she just throw the tower somewhere? Foul.
Yeah, this is a problem potentially. The early group up right there, the fact that you can't really contest it at all. Alvaro heads back into the jungle to farm up his medium camp.
Look at Maposha. He actually got spotted there. He did step in vision for a moment. And a correctly drawn line here from Y, I believe is his current path.
But they did get down that ward. We'll see if that one gets taken away by LGD. It's down bottom. Able to go for the RP now, connecting on to Ame, but I don't know if this is going to translate into a kill.
No, they don't think so, at least. Oh, there we go.
Yeah, they bring in the IO as well, and that's going to be more than enough. Ame backs away perfectly fine.
Poshka's just like, can I get something done here? You know, my wards. Get a little D Warden here just roaming around. Yeah, it's actually Y, who's well known for being such a roamer, but on this Io, having to play a little bit closer to his ally.
Yeah, there's a little bit of a change up in styles there. We saw a bunch of that rotation going on in the last game from him. And Poshka on his bane finds another courier kill.
Yeah, for Y, despite being a 5 player, he actually gets often categorized by like some of the information scrapers in Dota as a roaming hero. We've been told by some of our stats people just because he spent so much time going between the lanes.
Ame collapse, facing off with each other. And just the focus right now on the farm, stacking up the camps. Ame again moves up to come and contest this and collapse. I don't know if they're really going to be able to do all that much to stop him. Very interesting, but Fisher up top. Now the follow-up, looking for Fabian there as well, and this is going to be a kill.
That's a pretty stark difference than 3 heroes stalking the Radiant carry. You know, they gotta get this kill, right?
They gotta get something here, that's for sure. Poshka's waiting off to the side. Nightmare down a couple punches, but they bring in the Io, trade off that Nightmare. And that's gonna be more than enough for the moment, but why? Also drop the roll, not low enough. Instead they turn by collapse. One more touch is not enough with Fabian. Thinking that they might be able to find him here.
That was the trusty shovel keeping him alive.
Yeah, heading down to the south. TP is available, but collapse in some trouble. Does the Spirit connect? Not quite gonna be on the mark. He gets out.
Trusty shovel indeed. And up top, nothing to say. Zoning back Toronto Tokyo, trying to keep it moving on the nations, but the pressure will stay in the bottom lane. We already saw how quickly that top tower went down. No point slowing down here from PSG LGD.
It's interesting though, right? Because you can see that this is a dynamic that we've seen multiple times throughout this tournament. You have Team Spirit with a little bit of a lead, even though it's LGD that are taking down more of the towers. Just that stacking up farming mentality we're seeing from Spirit right now.
And look at the treants put out here. They're watching for Toronto Tokyo, right? Yeah. Because they know that everything's on this Dream Coil. That's by far the easiest way for them to initiate. So you just fan out your units like that from Space Beyond. And unless they're going to smoke in, you're going to catch that puck.
And instead they're going to find a Dream Coil towards the mid lane, trying to take down the flash. Do they have enough? Yes. Toronto Tokyo picks up that kill. And with that, a 3,000 goal lead this early on for Team Spirit.
Bit of a theme, I feel like, in these two games from PSG LGD. Ame did a similar thing last game in Versa, where he kind of stayed in an area which seems like, surely, you know, like you're in trouble, you know, right? He ended up dying on the Ursa in the top lane, and this time, you know, at least they got a favorable trade. They took a tower after that, which I think was part of the plan for PSG LGD, but they were able to zone back on that bottom tower, shove the wave back out, and now even Collapse running in behind the tower, checking for courier and everything down here. They're not willing to just, like, you know, give you the take the kill and then just give you the tower. They're able to defend after as well.
Right.
Okay, but now the pressure's coming mid.
Skira. They're going to get onto the Brambles. Thought about that RP, but calls it off afterwards. And again, nothing to say in the mid lane. It's starting to push down this tier 1 tower with Zinky and Toe. And why? They'll get it. And it's so interesting to me, right? Because you think about traditionally what people think of these styles of play. And Team Spirit definitely going the more farming route in this one. You saw there for a second the last hits that Toro has. 135 compared to the 69 of Ahmed.
Yeah, they're actually spot out here, but they're not going to have anything in time to catch. But that also comes back to the idea of punishing that Dream Coil, right? It was used. You killed me. All right, congratulations. But I'm a left shot. I don't have any cooldowns. When I respawn, I'm coming right back. I'm taking that tower. But it's this timing, like, GLG, has said before, like, we love taking for scale. We like to be very balanced. We're comfortable going late because we think we make better decisions at that point in the game. And even though this is a pretty fast lineup from PHLGD, it does have some late game tools, right? The Morph Shaker, of course, if you get to that, can really go against anything at this point.
It is a little bit terrifying. You're not wrong. Actually queuing up the Dragon Lance right now on Ame. So obviously we could maybe disassemble that later, and we see that have to be one.
Yeah, we see that long versus of Luna. It makes like a really nice little matchup, right? Where she's kind of got this like zone that you're trying to play out of, and right. Just a little bit gives you that tank ability versus all this magic damage there too. Really balanced item to start out with.
So Team Spirit, never seen that 2K gold lead. As on the other side, LGD trying to keep the pressure onto these buildings. Up top, nothing to say is there. The 12 points in edict. Forces out the door.
Wow, that was a pretty easy clip to get, not gonna lie. They have to commit that hard wall. I mean, Collapse already TV'd up there too, so I can imagine they'd like to go for another one soon. And as we approach, you know, sort of past the laning stage, we start thinking, you know, how's the Roche looking in this game? They can take it relatively early, right? You get an early DD for this lineup, Stage Problem and Morphling. They might opt for it.
Look at this movement in before the Blade Dagger on Shaker. Oh, Dagger! But the punch and it drops inside, but Yara still
but they are too tanky. I mean, you see these stacked up heroes, maybe you're surfing everybody on the well, but it's a bit too much. They're just so tanky right now.
And instead, they try and find a pick-off here. Nothing to say. The rest of his friends a little ways away. ZQ making the move over. They're going to get the Territe. That's going to get the tether snap. And afterwards, the whole team is coming from wall, but nothing is taking the region for Y. Keeping his core player alive.
The wand with the IO, this early hood into the Eternal Shroud as well. They're going to have some issues bringing down this left track without the Luna being there.
You just get blown up like that. I mean, obviously a great nightmare dodge with the stun that came in, but in the end, you need to get that BKB online, as we've seen time and again. Yaro trying to get towards it now, as LGD starting to cut a little bit into this lead here. Also getting a little bit of free time right now to farm up.
And I think Toronto Tokyo saying just think about like his role in this game, what he can do. You know, Puck obviously pretty versatile in terms of builds. They even really aim on this gear. We'll have to get out of the zone. Even go for the a TP in there. Very nice play to even preempt that by blinking somewhere else with the TP. Could have set something up there. They also have the Orchid ready on this push here, so with the relocate in 5 seconds, everyone can be top lane right now for PSG LGD. For Team Spirit, they don't see very much. I mean, the rotating line goes to that bottom lane. I think they just have to go to a counter push.
Yeah, there's no other play really. And they have a glyph still on LGD as well.
They need this blink dagger collapse before they can defend.
Gonna be too much too quickly otherwise. You can see it, very close collapse. Just gonna farm up the rest of these camps here. While bottom, Team Spirit trying to pressure that in.
Toronto, he's got the veil. He's got the blink. How old is he?
This guy's crazy. You've seen it time and again. And Fabian shows up just with the crease. That's all it is. Oh, Fabian spots him. The silence is there. That's the Orchid reveal. And he is big dead.
He's really greedy. Turns out. You know, you got a full creep wave. That's quite a bit of gold, too.
True.
But almost an absurdity over that play.
This does stop the backdoor protection, though. So this is going to stay alive a little bit longer. Forcing LGD in this area for a bit. But eventually it will fall.
And already you can go back to that bottom lane, just push that back out too. So very well orchestrated there from PSG LGD. But the Courier holds the key. Ice Frog little Courier delivering a blink dagger to collapse. So, you know, he's got a few more things queued up there you guys might have seen already in this tournament. The Shard, the Force Stab, he's made a couple plays. Perhaps some highlight reel ones.
He's been absolutely spectacular.
I think he needs a couple more this game.
Sure enough. Not like LGD have anything to say about it. They've also had a few highlights at times. And playing on that Earthshaker with the Morphling, you just know that there's pain coming if they're left to free farm in this one.
That's really the worst part of just staying in the upper bracket. Less highlights, you know, less games to play.
Sure enough, yeah.
Especially when you crush your opponent so hard and then finally being challenged now by Team Spirit.
They're up one game again. Cinderella story that hasn't died yet. And seeing if it can continue on here in this game number 2. The BKB is done. Taking a look at a few of these other items around the map. Collapse has that blink done. Zinky getting closer to him, has it completed as well now. So all of the big fighting items online.
That's been frightening. It feels so good because like obviously as the offlaner you gotta get these like earlier items, get Bracer, got a mech, and then you get your blink dagger when you're playing as a support. You just get that one thing you're striving for, and it's kind of unfortunate when they match up like that, because like now it feels like your offlaner can actually play, but Zinky, like this is an excellent counter initiation to have right now. With the way that their lineup's kind of set up, like he can just lurk for so long. He can just wait on the side, and what kind of vision is going to catch him, right? Maybe an orb. Maybe you can take a fight at night like this and have the advantageous vision.
Oh, the steer back! He's going to lift through that. Nice jump out there. Zinky saving the day even under that ward.
I mean, they have Relocate, they have Fisher.
Yeah, they were super good.
That is a tough one. But at least the Relocate gets burned, right?
Yeah.
So that is something for them. But immediately into the Roche.
Oh, and LGD gonna make a bit of a sneaky play here. Did Team Spirit know that this is going on?
Where's your DD, guys?
They're gonna have to push. I mean, this is down to about half HP now. Team Spirit, it's really well covered by the vision of LGD as well, but they're gonna smoke up now. Can they get there in time? It's Zinky now. They pull back on to ZQ. Gonna try and take it down first. And they will get that kill, but it comes at the cost of the Aegis on Ame. Leaving it in the pit this time for any other teams.
No.
RNG, everybody knows.
At the very least, you get yourself a kill from that, but surely still have, Zincu. That's basically an exchange. Sometimes you trade a Roche for a tower. Sometimes someone on your team just needs to go and kind of feed to block out the smoke. That's just a small feed to help things out here. So another game where like the kills have also stayed pretty low. From game 1 and game 2. Feels like teams are being very picky about their engagements.
So much on the line. It's incredibly tense for these teams. And again, you start to wonder how much the pressure is going to be affecting these plays. We'll have to keep our eyes out for it for sure. But Ame with the Aegis, another 4 minutes with this. And I believe this is going to be the Manta coming out pretty soon for him as well. He can start to play with a little bit more freedom here, potentially.
And currently they already have an amazing vision in the top lane. You can see this ward just been staying on the high ground here. About a quarter of its duration left. Nothing to say feels confident enough to be up there. They already control the outpost since they took that tier 2 so early. Team Spirit again just forced to try and hold on and try and build everything up in the order of this game. Does of course have this buffed up carry mentality that we've been working towards in this main bracket of pretty much every team. You're going to have the empowered Luna. But, it's not the Wolfbite, it's not the Tiny. Triada are going to do some heavy lifting here.
Potentially, they have a Nightmare, and then the Walkaway. They actually relocate into this one.
There's relocated, yeah. Probably, it's very scary. If you don't have that really quick burst, you don't really want to take it right now for Team Spirit. But they forced out some rotations at the very least. They got to try to hold this tower, I think. Or it usually wasn't worth it.
No, I'll say this time, though, that's the danger of the relocate. Nothing to say outside of vision. They don't see him. Now they do. The pullback going to be able to get that Stewart. Victor's not quick enough. And nothing to say goes down. Now looking for more. Oh, man, so be careful. Zincu there. But Ame with the rainbow through it. Brilliant play. And afterwards, down the chase, looking for more. Can they control through there? Nothing to kill. The terrorist comes out, but he got the string for him off. Make beyond. Jumps away. And shoots back. 1 and 2. Oh, collapsed into him again.
And look, they're just surrounding him. There's no chance to help him. The shaker, but
there is nothing else left in the tank there for Ame. Trying to TP, but the stun comes through right at the end. And LGD, another triple kill for Yatoro. And why Will managed to escape from that one, but a huge win for Spirit here in game number 2.
That is massive. It was amazing defense. The class does it twice in the fight with the skewers, catching nothing to say. Like, you talk about this idea with like the Aegis and like, well, what are you supposed to do with this Aegis? Are we supposed to push towers? Is that the goal right now? So, should it be on the Morph lane? Doesn't he kind of feel like the harder target to get in the first place, and instead you're sort of hanging nothing to say out to dry? Like, he gets one skewer, and there was no chance to save him.
Yeah, I mean, again, part of that is also the decision to stick around after that relocate was used, because that's probably part of their idea behind it.
Yeah, that's your easiest long-range save, right?
Unreal. 5-6. Team Spirit just absolutely great Dota.
I'm sensing a smoke up Echo Slam here soon. This is what you do. You lost your Aegis, and you're like, okay, guys, this is fun. Group up. We're gonna smoke. We've got our other tools back. Let's go dunk on some people.
Zincu so often has been the answer and the playmaker for this LGD lineup. Whether it's the Snapfire or the Earthshaker, whatever it is that he's playing, he's making the big moves. So, 21 minutes in now, and continues to farm. I mean, this is the thing that's really scary, right? Like, how many times have we seen these Lunas just get completely out of control and then just walk high ground with an Aegis? And now it also feels like they have some of those tools with the Blinks online to actually win those Aegis fights as well.
Yeah, sometimes they don't leave that high ground. It just takes one sort of mounting up there, and it's over. Part of the reason why they can't win the patient Team Spirit locations. That's not something they're very well known for.
Scary, Invis, and then the smoke up afterwards. Team Spirit looking on the hunt, but LGD sensing danger coming their way will retreat out. Just
if he's gonna farm toss him again, there we go. Don't tell me he's gonna farm toss him again.
Oh my god, he got him again! They did it to him! They find the pickup! Collapse, you're too good!
Oh, that smell!
Real.
They're so good at just finding that one kill and like waiting for this timing too.
They pull him back in afterwards. Why? Some trouble. Stewart a little off the mark, but the flames are there for round 2 of it. Team Spirit, they came to play on finals day. Taking down Secret, now looking to go 2-0 in the series against LGD.
Get something magic, right? You gotta go grab that outpost, get it, but man, losing the Roche into just like taking over the map right now for Team Spirit.
Just healed over.
They're just having fun. That's what they say, right? They look like they're having fun. Well, most people say he's having fun. For someone who's playing Bane, that's as much fun as your face gets, I think. You know?
They're on top of it, killing it. And we'll see now if LGD can pull this back. I mean, again, we've talked so much about the effect that pressure has in this lineup. In a lot of ways, built to try and just win the Aegis. Not a whole lot else is going to be acceptable for them in the sort of standards that they set for themselves. 5 to 8.
I love how you see the sentry they put outside the base too, because I had the same thought. I'm just like, where did that work? Like, how does Magnus do that? And just not. Class is just too good. He just feels it. He just goes. At the very least, he has a lot of sentries.
They're all over the place.
And, you know, that's because they also have the gem, I believe, still, on Toronto, Tokyo. So they know that they're in trouble when it comes to the vision game, and so you get to this place where you're just kind of spamming them everywhere. And you heard our lovely draft panel, as well as Insania talking about like the sustain and everything, and Insania pointed out just like how much more valuable that healing is on the earlier end, right? About trying to get as many of these max and these holy lockets as early as you can in the game. When you just spend on sentries, that can be a bit tough, but at the same time, you have a Shaker on your team, so you're making a sacrifice in terms of the gold to ensure that Blink Dagger is going to be there. Unfortunately, they haven't really gotten much out of the Shaker. Couple nice saves, but Zinkyu's still waiting for his big moment.
And it's tough, right? Because you have to sort of go in and make that chaos happen first with the rest of the heroes on LGD, and specifically Nothing to Say. He's built all these items to try and stay alive. The Eternal Shroud, going for the Halberd, now into the Plate Mail. And it has just not been able to be enough to keep him alive against the big plays from Collapse. MVP in this game too.
And now, it's nighttime once again. So what do? We smoke. You got night vision, right? You have the advantage there. They're going to have to rely on the trans from Faith Beyond if they want to get some of these plays out. That is the vision that they have at night. But the edge certainly belongs to Team Spirit.
Absolutely. As they move up onto the high ground, Zinkyu feels like he's safe, but they drop down the ward right away. Zinkyu manages to get out of there, has that shard to create that separation. But again, a ward dewarded, taking away vision from LGD.
They're just going to do the sweeping motion here, right? They actually scanned ahead to see if he could blink in there. He's checking the high ground. Collapse wants this so bad.
He's ready. He feels the moment, dude. He is so on top of it. Waiting for the vision.
He's going so far back.
Like, no, he knows. Oh my god, that was close. Fissure afterwards. They're sensing it. They back out of there.
He is feeling it today.
Came close there.
I mean, that's what's so cool with this spell, though, is that you can just fish.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes you're not going to catch anything. Sometimes you get yourselves a big old whale.
You know what's also so interesting about this? Like, those two outposts are still held by LGD. They're keeping so much pressure on the map by LGD, and Team Spirit, it doesn't look like they're that interested in trying to take them. They're just looking for those kills now.
Yeah, and unfortunately for them, it's going to be a very long Roche spawn. That's kind of what they're playing for right now for Team Spirit, right? It's just like, we don't want to rush anything. We just need one more fight. We're going to clear this entire base with Luna. And we want the Roche for that. So they're going to be trying to control around the pit. He's going to sit in there. They're going to wait. They're going to be very disappointed for 2 minutes and 20 seconds. There you go. And that's just time for PSG LGD. So what can we stall for here is the question. Shiva's coming up relatively soon for nothing to say, but the Agnes, that's what we're stalling for. So whenever you get in trouble with the Morphling, you look to say, how good of a race game is it? And it's like, oh yeah, right, we picked Morph Shaker. So we do have that going.
That's going to be the big window that they're looking for. Only 2 points in Enchant Totem right now for that Shaker. But can still be devastating with all the lockdown that you get.
Now, interesting things that we're going to have to watch during that though will be the fact that it's the Aeon Disc on the puck, right? So they're going to be looking to catch and chain and even just try and like go through that stats as well as actually active on Toronto Tokyo, just trying to keep chaining him down. He's not going to have the beat game even. And after that, we also know that Collapse, he really likes these kind of cheeky items, right? He doesn't like BKB. See the lane this guy's making?
There's the Aeon Disc out. Toronto Tokyo not concerned, just blinks away after the Aeon Disc is procced. And also getting that D-ward again.
So the question will be, when they come high ground, will you find this big more Shaker play? Are you going to catch these heroes without the immunity that they need to survive what is obviously a pretty terrifying duo of heroes?
Faith Beyond shows for a second. Collapse, looks for an opening, sees him there. There's an opening, the horn toss, the pullback with Skewer, and immediately gets the kill. Nothing is free, not even pushing out a wave.
That's the kind of punish that you need. I mean, they felt pretty free on this map, right? Because they are moving around as a single unit for Team Spirit, right? And that's why we're spotting some of these heroes just like Beyond randomly in spot pushing on a wave, nothing to say. That's why they were able to control the outpost for so much longer than you might expect, considering the situation that Team Spirit was in. But the punishes are free, and so they'll go back once more for a disappointing look inside the Roche pit, and then wait another 30 seconds, and then we'll go back and do it again.
But look at this. They have that Aghanim Scepter done on the Morph lane now. Puck also just finishing an Aghanim Scepter and has an Arcane Rune bottle.
Like sending in one first. Just these slow movements in. Ready to tether back. Oh, Sentry is going to catch both.
They have vision right away.
They're there.
Collapse. Oh, he doesn't go for it.
We've seen them go into these trees so many times.
Collapse.
I would not be surprised.
He's thinking about it. Xingqiu is back there.
They're just baiting us.
Yeah, they're waiting on it. And Faith Beyond, in the meantime, farming on the other side.
And the Radiant, they scan that pit there to no success. They're going to send in the Treants, though. So, PSG LGD, they're in the know. They've got the Morphling, with the Aghanims, with the Shaker, and a team that really wants the rush. They have a plan.
This could be LGD's comeback here. Can they make it happen, though?
And how long can you sort of like control and force the focus of Team Spirit to be here, and what are you gaining on the rest of the map? I mean, again, they're fading out a bit here, and you have the Blowout teleportation of a 10 seconds for Faith Beyond. Yeah, you have Ame just farming the Dire Ancients right now, so
are they going to give up this rush?
I mean, they know they're in there right now. I highly doubt they just give this up for free.
Burrows is still inside here. They're moving over now. Faith Beyond getting some treants out. Starting to move into position. They're going to lay down these brambles.
They're actually doing this so slow that maybe PSG are just kind of fine with this.
Are they really going to give up Roche for this?
I think they just can't get in the position, right? I mean, they don't have the best vision around the area. They actually see absolutely nothing right now, so... I mean, they know they're in there. They've set in the trees, but again, how do you get that initiation when, you know, you're so reliant on... You'd rather just fight on the high ground at this point.
All right, well... LGD giving that one up. See if that comes back to haunt them later. As Mir is going to push out this lane up top. Faith Beyond very close. And they're going to have to deal with their lanes because this is one thing that's definitely beneficial for LGD is their split push potential. Faith Beyond, BKB with that Orchid. Xingqiu shows up. Karo up on the high ground. Nothing to say there as well. They have great vision on Team Spirit and now showing in the lane. Thinking about going, they pull him back in and he is done. And they're going for any more now. They have full control onto the Luna, but Luna just walks away.
Dire's middle tower
yet again.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if he's... Like, is there a buyback play there? Because that's a pretty bold sentry to place down.
Just like that, Team Spirit with Aegis in hand. Faith Beyond could maybe go for a play there, but Toki not showing himself, has the boots of travel to join with the rest of the team.
Right? They had the ward near the base. They actually saw that Ame was moved over here.
Oh, man. This would be such a huge pickup if they can get him. The Spider left walking in. They get him with the horn toss. Chase it down for more. Ame's done. Team Spirit, everywhere they go, people die.
It's the ward game, you know? Just spots it over there. That ward near the base.
Oh,
lets them know. They chase it down. And now they go up. Will they leave is the real question. There is a glyph available for the Radiant.
True enough. They walk up high ground and Karo going to start beating away, laying claim to this area. In the meantime, Faith Beyond's going to try and push up that side, but they catch up right away with the glyph. Collapse, pulls it back in, breaks the coil. Team Spirit, they're just playing too clean today. And LGD need more. They don't have buyback on this Morphling. They can't get 2 racks at the very least on the side of Spirit, but I mean, they need 2 racks. I don't know. That's a good question. Well, maybe Faith Beyond is actually starting to take this one down. Now the jump in. There's the BKB. Faith Beyond still has that Orchid available, but the turn off to the side. Oh, great Orchid to interrupt, and that will be enough to get him out.
That was really well done. The BKB team. It's like there's one answer, right?
Yeah.
Finds him there with the Orchid, so well done. Indeed, he will at least take a tier 3 for that something, but of course, there's still lots of time. You know, 2.5 minutes for a Luna. Just run back your base. She's pretty fast.
You're not wrong about that one. And can start pressuring down these towers. There's no more glyph either. The Team Spirit want to make another run at this with the Aegis. They're just so far ahead already. 10k gold. It does not look particularly close.
Yeah, the boots are travel there from Toronto, Tokyo, so he's just able to push out this bottom lane. He can be there in a flash too, trying to match some of this global capability that's there from PSG LGD, but they're still waiting for their shining moment of Morph Shaker. They are in this game, believe it or not.
Just haven't had an opening. Satanic now done too for the Luna.
Couriers just flying in everywhere, dropping all these new items. The team spirit.
I mean, Yaro's almost 10k gold up on the next hero on the enemy team. LGD just don't have an answer for this Luna, particularly with the Aegis. And it looks so free for him. This is the path to victory for Spirit to go up 2-0 over LGD.
They're gonna guard this speed that's with them though. Faith Beyond is caught. The next one. They're scamming that he's actually still there, so he's going back to Toronto. He's gonna try to hunt down Faith Beyond.
Oh, and off to the side, they get the vision. Tries to chase him down there. There's the silence, the coil afterwards. Still hits pretty hard on Faith Beyond, but with collapse in the area, they're gonna break the coil and kill off the Prophet.
How fast does he need to buy back is the question.
Oh man.
Can they actually force it here? I mean, it's going to be a while for the lanes, right? Going to sacrifice your license as a Nature's Prophet. I don't think they can punish this simply by the speed at which pigs walk. There'll be a little bit more time now for LGD. What are you gaining at this time? You know, that's Scotty done, so that is pretty huge actually. Scotty and the Morphling versus this Luna. And a Satanic.
I mean, it's looked so one-sided partially because LGD haven't taken that fight yet, right? Like, and there's still going to be that window. They have the, you know, Ag Shaker and can go in all at once together. It's just they're waiting for that perfect fight. Still have to be careful of that one on Team Spirit. And with this Aegis, you would have to imagine it would come soon.
Oh, class. No, I think he wants his perfect game here. It's the only one who would have died so far on Team Spirit.
Absolutely carrying out of that offlane.
No kills, too. So giving. You know, such a charitable offlaner.
That's the way it's supposed to be. Absolutely. Ooh, also, that Aether Lens for the extra range. So much range on absolutely everything in this game for him. They're gonna get set up again. Morphling sending in courier. This one might get scouted here. And
It's on the way up.
Oh, the Lucid Beam.
Yeah, using the Lucid Beam and
Well
the shard.
played. Was that the Scotty? Oh,
Yeah,
come on,
it was.
kill it,
Yeah.
Scotty.
3 minutes of no Scotty. But, you know, it's okay. You know, they don't actually see enemy heroes. They just see enemy creep waves. Right? That's the goal right now.
Okay.
The creeps are the true enemy. So that's why you know, he's not up top where the heroes are. He's at bottom where the creeps are. Keep pushing him out. Keep him away from your base.
Trying to extend this as long as possible and then force Spirit into a bad position. And in the last couple of minutes, they caught up.
Back it up. You know, look at this one. This keeps climbing.
Will it be enough, though? They can make the most of dodge fights and then possibly another fight around that next stage. That might be their window with BKB on Omni.
I think what's very impressive from Team Spirit is how long they have just kept this single ball rolling around together and they're not panicking. So a lot of teams, it gets to this point where like, if you've been roaming around for so long and like, you know, you just go on, so you'll say, look, they fan out a bit, they farm, right? Yeah. Shaker will punish that with relocate. You know, when an Aegis limit, they will find you. They will kill you if you try and go on your own.
But with all the lanes pushed out now, Team Spirit. That Aegis still going to walk up and this a couple of times. He had 3,200 HP on Yaro as well as the butterfly done.
And they have port on the high ground. That LGD don't know about. Collapse.
So often he's been the one to make those big plays. They're continuing to push the bottom lane. LGD open for an overreaction from Team Spirit. As they walk up, start to hit Drax, but like bottom lane is being put back in as well, actually.
He's fully committed to the Shaker.
Right afterwards, it's a pullback. They got enough to say, fire away. Don't have a way to get to him. He is going to duck here as they get the Fiend's grip off and the eventual right click down to death. He's coming on the way in. On to CQ, he's in trouble now as well. They find themselves another pickup position here. Zero nothing else left and the team falls down.
Play. Very heads up there from Toronto, Tokyo, just not letting them just get away with offering up the sacrifice of the last round. Not just to go. We're going to take what cow? There you go. That's right. Yeah.
They're keeping the lanes pushed out. That's the only thing. We've seen a couple of teams, you think back, they were one of the ones keep those lanes shoved in constantly and eventually win with an all-in push. And that might have to be what we see from LG as well. Maybe a relocate play with more flip or something like that.
No, don't say that. I won't allow it.
You won't
Not
allow it.
here. That's some DD relocate Morphling.
There's a chance. There's potentially a way. You got to be careful of your team spirit. With this global potential that they have on LGD, anything can happen.
Tower has rung its last bell.
That's the outer tower. Now gone. PSG.
AC done. And Team Spirit starting to sense Roche going to be back up. 10 seconds. And with that, it could be the window to close this game out for Team Spirit.
Alright. Correct.
As it will respond right now. Interesting. Smoke up though. LPD. Is this finally the fight that they feel comfortable with? They've been sitting on this Ag Shaker for so long. Or Ag's Morphling rather than the Shaker. BKB now done to boot.
Yeah, that's a good point. Maybe they get some Q&As here. That would be kind of nice.
You can see Spirit not comfortable just hitting away in the Roche pit. Nothing to say walks in. Yaro up in the center. Nothing to say they jump in. They're in control. The damage is Yaro turns the ball. Destroys Nothing to say. They got him. Caught to the top. Armada in some trouble. Hitting from the low ground. How many meters are there? It doesn't matter. And they chase it down and kill off. A great win for Team Spirit. They will find more and more. Unbelievable.
The chase continues.
Just chase them down. And George trying to buy a little bit of space. Nothing to say. Kill collapse. Trying to take it down, but no one. What happened? Onside Toronto. The red ball. The step afterwards. Yaro moving in. He's taking back. Luna trying to fill him up. The BS. The pullback. He's got him. CQ. Looking down. They started hit. Another one bites the dust, but they got back now. On safety face beyond getting absolutely shredded. Yaro is 2 minutes. And they push him in again. Then pull him in. They've got him caught. Gonna maybe find the kill. Nothing to say. Different low dead. Another huge win. Team Spirit. They won't be denied. The more contested. Yaro just slaughter.
The way they play these fights, they're so insane.
Unreal. And we got the crowd up there. Paladin very excited for this young team's president. They have been absolutely dominant in this one. 2-0.
It's not just the fact that they won 2 games, it's the way they won these games. Exhibited here is not something of a young team of like, oh, we crushed the lanes and we're totally owning this game. They were patient.
Yes.
They knew their timing. They watched for the only way for PSG LGD to get back in this game, and they just blocked it out.
Unbelievable showing here from this team. The patience, the calm, cool collectedness, and now 1 game away from being able to raise that Aegis. Unreal. Very socially distanced crowd. You love to see it from them as well. As we get ready to go into this game number 3, but the man behind it all, Maposhka right there, captain, and keeping everybody with a cool head.
Yeah, well, the man behind PSG LGD, what are the options now? You know, you came in, you were the favorites. Everyone expected you to be the ones up 2-0 at this point, you know, for Team Spirit to be digging deep. He's got to come up with these plans. He's been challenged now twice. He's lost that challenge. What is up for game 3?
We'll have to see as we head back to the panel.
Thank you very much, Trent and Lyrical. Yeah, this game started with us talking to Zhao, who said regarding the Magnus pick on the side of Team Spirit, it is all in our plans. And gentlemen, the plan didn't work together.
I mean, so first of all, PSG, they're very aggressive early on. They're taking top tower, taking mid tower, trying to go for bot. And then you see how Spirit, they kind of shift away from that aggression. They get up some aggressive boards again. But Poshka, MVP in all of these games just because of his vision. My glasses are foggy. They're now gone. But then you have the ability for Spirit to bide their time. And at 20 minutes, they then just turn it up, right? They get this shard of Magnus, and they're just going fishing. as soon as they see someone, whoop, come on over. We got a pot coil, we got a bramble maze on the willow to go for, we got an eclipse, we got an overfarm Luna. Yeah, again, I'm looking forward to seeing how they're gonna nerf Toss after this. Like, it's insane.
Well, how are you gonna nerf Collapse? I think that is a little bit more short term, because that is something, Synderen, that I think PSG LCD is gonna look to.
Yeah, I think so, honestly the most important way that that Spirit are winning the games right now is on vision. So a really big part, it looks amazing when you hit all these horn tosses, but the reason Collapse is finding them is that they find themselves in good position where they have better vision. And I think a really key part of that strategy is the Luna pick for the night vision. So, you know, I think what PSG LGD were thinking when they said they had a plan for this, you look at their draft, right? They have the relocate away from Horn Toss. They have a hero like Morphling who's really hard to kill in it. They have a really long range stun from the Shaker. So they have potential ideas that could work against this. The problem is you can't be ready all the time. Like, you have an idea of where the enemy might be seeing you, but every time you're caught off guard, you get that snap pick, and they just keep building and building and building. So, my suggestion going into game number 3 is, I think you have to ban Magnus, and then aside from that, I think, you know, options are open. Or, you need to set up the draft like you did in game 1, where Magnus was actually ignored in the first phase because of the way the picks went down in that order.
Yeah, let's talk about the start of this game, Tsunami, because it felt a little bit like a repeat of the start of game 1.
Especially because it was another IO draft. Granted, it was a much more different approach to IO, but the dynamic was still quite similar. And I think the cheap initiation, both literally and figuratively, has been very, very popular over the past 6 months. We saw, like, Beastmaster's Aghanim Scepter being like, I don't need to commit to a fight. I can just toss axes from miles away. Amber Spirit has emerged to be the most popular of the spirits as of the past few months, just because if I get a slight chains, great. Otherwise, I don't really need to go in. And now we're seeing the prevalence of Horn Toss, where it's like, I'll fish for a skewer. If I don't get it, I'm already going back to my base anyway. So I think they're, like Sin said, if you don't think that you can get vision superiority, you're not going to beat Spirit.
No, and they didn't beat Spirit in this game too, T-Gov. I want to talk about the Shaker Morph combo, because that was something that we saw PSG LGD go for, and we thought, okay, you know what, they got a set draft, this is what it's supposed to do, but it didn't do what it was supposed to do.
Yeah, again, it's something that you need time with, right? Like, Morphling needs to get to a couple items plus the axe to then really join into the game. The Shaker needs to get his levels to enable the Morphling. Like, you need to have your own map to play. And I think PSG early on, they were really breaking down that map. They were taking these early towers, they're utilising that Fury, and like, they picked off the puck at this tier 2 siege top. Like, it looked pretty good, but it's the fact that Spirit able to kind of shift away that kind of map movement, and they're over farming on their heroes. Like, a very small thing, and probably wasn't really noticeable, but Yutaro, like, after fights, there was like double waves coming into him. He wasn't even farming the lane. He'd go to the jungle, allow other heroes to take that farm. And it's because you have even distribution of farm to some degree, you're able to continue taking fights every single item timing. You're not waiting an extra 2-3 minutes for the Willers to get a vessel, or, you know, the Bane to get, you know, a 4-stuff, whatever. It's the idea that you are being ready at all times. So it doesn't matter if you're playing against Morph Shaker, because you're going to have that 1-2 item advantage the entire game.
And the key thing for the key component for Morph Shaker is, similarly, it's vision. It's about seeing the enemy team first so you can get that fissure combination. If you, in all of these like OS Frog moments we've had in the past, you're like, man, this shit is so broken, you know? It's like, out of the fog comes one fissure, then the other fissure, it's like X marks the spot, and they both jump in and kill someone. The problem is, I think we saw that like literally one fight in this game after they got it. Just every time it was Team Spirit that got the initiation. So, I mean, hats off to them. I'm honestly just super impressed. I was one of the non-believers, I'll admit it, going into this finals. I thought, okay, this LGD have looked so dominant. Even though Team Spirit are catching steam here and are looking really good, I still think they're going to falter. And at this point, LGD need to pull an IG from, which major was that? Against EG, the reverse sweep Singapore major.
They need a question mark.
Yeah, they need a question mark.
They need something. They need something. I like that you said, you know, honestly, I'm really impressed. I know that, you know, you got the Purge voice line going. And speaking of Purge, we're going to him right now because he has more on Team Spirit.
Thanks, guys. You heard from Tsunami before about LGD's strengths right now, but let's take a look at what Spirit's doing. One of their big advantages right now is how versatile Yutaro is playing as a carry. And if you can pull up these really effective tools in the right games, it gives you a big advantage in the mid and late game. In this first match of the series so far, Naga Siren with the fast Ags after the Manta gave them great tools against these highly mobile heroes on the PSG side. Very useful against Pango to limit his rolling boulder. You can use it against Ursa to break Enrage. You can send your illusions on Ursa to force him just to retreat, not to engage. And these are some of the tricks that Spirit's used so far throughout the entire tournament, actually, to just break matches. In the previous match that they played against IG, they also had a big advantage too. It wasn't necessarily from, well, it was actually for some weird hero picks here. They grabbed a PA to give them AoE break against the Tide. So in this match, they also used kind of a cool combo that nobody really expected to just punish the enemy lineup. But what was still really obvious, and has been the case for every single Spirit lineup, is that they play so well together as a team. They cover each other's weaknesses, they follow up on each other perfectly. It's like their mind melded together, and that is the reason that they're currently 2-up in the grand finals here of TI-10.
Yeah, it is honestly incredibly impressive. The side of Team Spirit, they're 1 game away from taking this championship. There's 4 first-timers in their squad, 1 second-timer in Maposhka in their squad, and of course Silent's got a lot of experience. This is his 5th international, but his first as a coach. So there's that as well, and this team is just on the verge of winning, and I want to talk about that because mind games, a big thing in the TI finals, and we talk about the mind games regarding the money. I think the amount of pressure that PSG LGD is under, last TI that is won by a Chinese squad was TI6, and before that it was all like 1 TI for the side of China, 1 TI, not China, etc, 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 until TI6, and since then there's not been a Chinese teams winning it, and there's so much pressure coming on these players, on their backs, because they were supposed to be the champions tonight.
A consistent theme of all of the exit interviews that we've seen from the Chinese teams is a great deal of national pride.
Yes.
They don't feel like they themselves are like, oh, you know, we lost, you know, we'll come back stronger next time. They're like, I have failed to represent our region in terms of Dota superiority, because even if they don't make it to grand finals, they have let another region beat them, and they have somehow created more competition now for LGD. Whereas Team Spirit, on the other hand, every single interview I've seen from them, they're just like, yo, I'm just happy to be here.
Yeah, I don't know what game we're playing. I just play a game of Dota that we happen to be on the States, Finland, that we happen to be playing for extra $13 million. By the way, they don't care, or they don't seem to care.
Yeah,
it's not getting in their head.
I do think it's a pretty key point as well, because as much praise as we're giving Spirit here, and they deserve all of it, I also don't think LGD have fully showed up today. I think some of their moves, they're a little bit hesitant, they're a little less hungry. It seems like there are some nerves, and it's kind of unbelievable when you think about it, because the rest of the tournament, they've looked unstoppable. They've had games where they were super far down, they make the right moves, they win. And perhaps, like, it's always easier to look weak against a team that's playing out of their minds, but it's like there's always a little bit of both, right? So I think for me going into the next game for LGD, Xiaowei actually plays the most important role in the next game, even though he's not even playing, because the team needs to get into the right mind space. They need to get the belief that they can win, and then I think the adjustment they need is that draft. I like the IO suggestion. Try something else, right? It bombed out 2 games now. You're playing against a team that clearly knows what to do about it, so you can still come back.
What are your first phase bans, though? Are you still going to do Mag Mars? Because I think you have to target Collapse.
Again, the key thing here is the fact that the PSG had the choice of going for first or second pick, right? And they themselves put them in the position of allowing Spirit to ban out the Tiny and the Monkey, forcing themselves to either ban the IO themselves or pick it, right? So in this position, it does feel like you'd like to see something different from PSG. The IO hasn't really worked out. Just add some more stunts, add that ability to break down the map a little bit better, and then they should be in a good stead. And going back to the point of PSG and the expectation, you think about Spirit and how they got here. They just played the lower bracket game, right? They're 1 game down, they win game 2, they win game 3. Like that momentum, that is so hard to attain, in any competition, right? So that is very much why they're feeling confident. And of course you do have the head kissing versus the belly rubs, and therefore head kissing is 2 up right now.
Alright gentlemen, here they come. It is time very soon. We'll see game 3 of this grand finals. And this 3rd game could potentially be the last. Right now, Team Spirit is up 2-0, and it has only happened once before that a team was able to 3-0 their opponent in a grand finals. PSG LGD, we know they have it in them to force out that game 4, but we need them to believe in themselves and in their draft as well. We know also that they can do it. Faith Beyond and Vi both have already got a TI win under their belts. They won TI6 with wins. We have seen Ame being in a grand finals. TI8, of course, that was one of the closest grand finals we have had, and unfortunately, wasn't able to take it, but it came very close, and we knew that the pressure there might have been a little bit too much, but we know that he can do better than what he is showing right now, Tigo.
Yeah, it's just so difficult, right? Like when you're 2-0 down, this is really where you need to kind of just come together. And even if, like you say, one person hasn't been standing up or the team hasn't been performing to their best potential, they just need to rally around what they've been doing well to get to this point, right? Like they're in the grand finals, they've clearly been doing something right. So this is where you just need to kind of break that off, reset, go again, treat it like it's the first game in the series.
That is so hard to do. It sounds so easy when we say, hey, just don't think about that you're 2 games down. Just play a game of Dota, Tsunami. How hard is it?
But the problem is they've just now lost as many games in this grand finals that they have throughout the entire tournament.
True.
I don't know if they're used to losing. They have having to repair is a challenge, and Spirit has had to repair on their journey here. And having that lower bracket run coming into the past 2 days, playing 2 series means that in their second series they're already warmed up. LGD was sitting here waiting for the secret series to finish. They have not had to be on the back foot and be like, oh my gosh, okay, we gotta change our dynamic. I have no doubts that Xiaoba Xiaowei would be able to deal with that, but it needs to come now or you're gonna lose.
Isn't it kind of crazy to think about that no matter what the score is in this grand finals, LGD has a better win rate at this tournament than Spirit?
Yeah, that's true.
By far. Like, it's not even close.
No, yeah, it's not.
Even if they 3-0, their win rate's still way worse. So that's what finals are about. Like, it's the final game. Have you got it when it matters the most so far? Spirit definitely do. Yeah, for me, I'm just super excited to see the draft because I think this third game is very telling about the mentality. When you're kind of broken like this, when you're down 0-2, there's like 2 approaches to take. There's the crazy approach where you just throw everything out the window, you do something completely different, and there's the one where you're like stubborn to the, like almost to the limit, right? Where you're like, no, we can still win with this damn IO. We're gonna try the 3rd time in a row, and we're gonna adjust some of the bans. So I'm really curious. And I honestly, depending on your perspective on it, I think I can see both approaches as a sign of strength and a sign of weakness. True. So it's kind of hard to just say out of the first 2, but I really, really, really want to see what they're thinking right now.
But do you want to be the team that potentially loses 3-0 in the grand finals to the underdog, just going IO every single time, not really changing it up?
I think that's something you kind of have to nod in your head, right?
Yeah.
You're gonna have to shut that out. As repetitive as it sounds, you gotta treat this game as a fresh game, a standalone game, not having the pressure of $13 extra million on your head, not having the pressure of an entire region on your head, and not having the pressure of Coach Xiaowei on your head, and everything that comes with winning the international. And you just gotta play a game of Dota, play a pub. And you know what? Nothing to say. He's been playing so many pubs. He is the world ranked 1 player. I feel like we haven't really seen him step up that much yet, Tsunami. Is that because of his heroes that he's been playing today?
I think partly the heroes that he's playing, but also the heroes that his team is playing. I think that he hasn't been given the correct draft to let him pop off on a thing like Ember Spirit that we were talking about. Give him some cheap initiation that he can get in and out. Give Spirit a taste of their own medicine, because so far, every time you're running an IO strat, it's more on the shoulders of Ame to finish the game off, and that has not been happening for the first 2 games.
So to beat Team Spirit, you gotta pick a Spirit, Tigo.
Maybe so. I actually hate Spirits, don't forget that.
But
no,
you like to break a Spirit, though.
I do like to break a Spirit. But yeah, Team Spirit, their second pick, right? So in both the previous 2 games. So in the draft order, that simply means that they get to pick the core after seeing 4 heroes, and the mid after seeing all 5 of PSG, 2 times in a row. So we mentioned the idea of the impact of Ame, the impact of Nothing to Say. It is a product of the Lesh was a sacrificial type pick in the draft. This Pangolier was kind of thrown out there, not a comfort from Nothing to Say. So I would really love to see either they shift around their first pick drafting style to enable the players a bit more, or take that second pick one time and just give it a go where they actually get to go, okay, this is our best core in the game, this is our best read on the game, and give it a go. Because right now, Spirit is utilizing that 18 and 24 very well.
Yeah, let's see what's gonna happen. It is time for Game 3 of this Grand Finals.
Team Spirit versus PSG LGD. Grand Finals, Game 3.
Welcome again to the draft panel of the Grand Finals for Game 3.
Here's the Radiant Band.
Team Spirits. Team Spirit is in the driving seat more than ever. They are forcing LGD they're making them second guess themselves. They're making the 15-1 group stage team, the upper bracket dominant team, they're making them completely question everything that brought them so far, and that's crazy. So now Team Spirit is leading the charge. LGD is switching things up, maybe trying to put the players back in their comfort zone. We were sitting there watching their body language for Johan, like in this pre-stage kind of area. You know, Chaoet, arms crossed, them looking at their feet, not looking at each other, not sharing, you know, energy. This is what you need when you're back against the wall. You need to be there for each other. You need this. You need to bring the momentum, but you have to create it somehow, because obviously the Dota is not bringing it. And on the other side, you have Silent talking to them, and they're all looking at it, kind of drinking whatever word he's giving them, and they're uniting, you know, feeling, you know, bringing the uprising energy.
It's two completely different teams right now from what we could see body language wise. I wonder if this change up will make them feel slightly better, because now it's a new page. Both Xiaowei is going to go back to the second pick. Maybe that will give them some type of confidence boost or belief in now what they're going to do. I do think that they need to play harder, play better. Team Spirit is showing up today, and LGD, they need to bring their A game every game.
And we see, like, even though they lost last game, even though they're down 2-0, I think this might actually be a good sign for LGD. They're still confident even against what Collapse on the Magnus. I think this is the first time I've really seen people pick the right counters against Magnus.
Finally.
You need to deal with Skewer, right?
It is finally coming up, and I also want to mention, like, this is the beauty of Dota. Magnus has dominated many patches. It has dominated many years for different reasons. It has been about Empower at times. It has been about RP at times. This Magnus is about skewering. It's about repositioning a hero in a way where the fight is so unfair for one team.
Yeah.
But this Skewer play is stoppable. It's stoppable by a Rubik Gift, probably one of the best tools in the game. Yule Scepter, you know, Lion Hack, like you Force Staff. There are ways to stop this Skewer from happening. This Magnus doesn't buy BKB early in the game. He's playing with Force Staff, either lens, like, and you have to stop it. And I love the confidence from LGD in a way, you know, maybe Chaoet, maybe somebody in that booth is telling them, hey, I know this Magnus looks strong, it looks unbeatable, it is beatable. Stop this Skewer play. Now you end up with a Magnus stuck in the fight, cooldown Skewer, he's just gonna die. No RP, the whole team fight goes away. And then the fight is absolutely terrible. Great way from LGD to counter. It is abusable and they're going for it. I love it. That is confidence.
Yeah, I think whatever it is that's going to take for them to really find themselves and play like LGD, they need to find it now. They don't have any more chances. You don't have another game to lose. This is going to be a good route, but I am still very worried for them and worried from what's going to go through their heads if they get into this game and it starts going south at any point.
You want to win TI, you have to be the best. You have to be the greatest team of the season, or you know, at that point. And the greatest team has to be able to play Dota to their fullest, even down 0-2. And if they can't do that, then then it was Spirits. So now is the cornerstone, and this is definitely where the final is going to be decided one way or another, or either it's going to be decided now, or we're going to get another round of great Dota, which I'm hoping for. Like, I want to see 5 games, but definitely, if LGD is going to break, it's going to be now.
Yeah, I mean, what a run though. I gotta give Spirit a lot of credit and Collapse a lot of credit for what we've seen so far. It's been insane, the stuff that they're doing, the stuff that they're pulling out. If you were to go replay analysis, Spirit before today, you could pick up something, but this is still a different team than yesterday. They are better, they are more confident, they're more free, and they are picking whatever they feel like picking and doing whatever they feel like doing.
That's awesome. It's beautiful to see.
I think we've seen the entire lower bracket run. I mean, there are teams like, oh, maybe we can beat this team. I mean, unfortunately, they eliminated you guys, but throughout every series, I think, as you said, like, they're bringing out better and better Dota, and all this momentum, like, it's come crashing into LGD. Like, they were by far, I think, the favorites of this tournament, but now they're down 0-2. I want to mention this Undying pick. So in my head, like, Magnus, he repositions the fight, so maybe Undying has troubles with that, but is it just like because of the Rubik whip, they're so confident stopping that, you can like anchor a fight with a Tombstone, or like what do you have to think about the pick?
It is possible. It's also a very good hero against Magnus on the lane. There's that too, and you also have to keep in mind they're playing second pick, so they have to kind of show cards. You probably better show an Undying card than another card. It's like strong laner, probably gonna allow Ame to pick out of a very wide pool hero because you know that his lane is secure no matter what.
They also run a lot of Fate Beyond.
Yeah.
So that could be a possibility.
It could be a possibility. Like, the way I look at it, and I think strategy-wise, what could be very interesting from Team Spirit is like, okay, they get it. They're going to try to stop this Skewer. But Magnus has been dominant for other reasons, as I mentioned. Maybe you can play an empowered strategy, where you know you can play like a, you can build up on top of this Magnus, you know, get a hero to, you know, the Mag Jugger, for instance, it's not as much about the steward and other things. You get this Jugger to a very strong moment. The Magnus can play without blinks. We've seen Magnus win games without blinks. So you just build on top of, you know, he goes back into blink, he can decide to go back into Greaves this game. Back into Greaves, into Crest, and put that on this one hero that's just gonna, and then the steward's never gonna happen. And now you're stuck with the Rubik that's just looking at the, it's like, it's sure happening, guys, because that's my job in this game and it's not happening. I'm just fade bolting.
That's where the Undying picking comes into maybe secure that these are fights that are going to happen. So now if you're playing on RP or playing on power, you're at least fighting into your Tombstone.
Yeah.
I get the pick, and also what you said, I think he suffers a lot from the school play and the fight being repositioned. Already now, LGD are probably thinking about objectives together. They want, that's how you're going to enable this Tombstone, that's how you're going to enable your two heroes to kind of punish this Magnus.
Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. But we'll see. I'm still worried for LGD. Every now I'm seeing things, and I'm seeing this morphing ban. I think it would also be a good pick for them. They're also worried about like they will morph combo, but it's good against Mag. It will be good when Undying. It's what they're looking for forcing objectives and things like this. I wonder if they're going to have a solid plan going into this, if they're drafting free, or if Xiao Wei is also dealing with all this pressure that they might be feeling. Being favorites, having not lost many games before, and now losing games for like the first time. Ooh.
Again, this is, I think, it's dealing with the Magnus split again. They're worried about that skewer. I really like what you said, Several, maybe making a pivot on the Magnus style. I think the other thing that this hides is whether Undying is actually a core or not. Because I think that's really what they're thinking about here.
That's one thing. I think there's two ways here. If Spirit can play Mag mid, I think it's very interesting this game. The Mag doesn't have to go into the Undying lane. Mag mid is Echo Saber Mag. He's just gonna blink RP kill. He doesn't cure back. You know, and he is not gonna care as much about what's being built, and they can get also to counterpick the Spectre greatly on the lane. It's a possibility, but they could also decide to double down. They go for the Mag PA. I mean, I think they're thinking about the... Yeah, everything. And the PA shard versus Spectre, crazy. You don't scale into this. He will pop him in a second with Empower and with the shard. And I'm sure you know Yatoro PA, for those that don't know Yatoro well enough, like he is one of the greatest PA players ever. If you encounter him in a pub playing PA or watched him, this is his bread and butter. He's super comfortable.
If you're, I forget who's playing it, he got Rampage in that game already at TI.
So
yeah, I mean, he's playing everything. He's literally playing every hero he can.
And I want to mention how LGD, I am scared for them. I want them to bounce back. I want to see more LGD do it. I want to see game 4, I want to see game 5. But they have played so far Tiny on track, you know, Tiny Ogre, Tiny Mag. They have played ET, you know, enabled ET that is also crushing the games. They have played Lycan. They have played these really powerful strategies. And so far, I don't see the multipliers here. I see the one Spectre, I see the one Undying, I see the one Bloodseeker, but I don't see the multipliers that LG are so good at. They're creating these strategies and they're buffing them so much that it just breaks the game. I'm maybe missing it, but so far I don't see the game being broken from LGD side. So to me, they have, Steel Spirit has successfully pushed LGD out of their their trademark this tournament.
And I think Team Spirit's lineup also looks like it has a lot more potential. When you look at these fights and when you look at what's going on for LGD, tell me about what their gameplay is going to look like this game. How are they forcing a tower? How are they forcing a rope? How are they forcing a fight this game? It's, I don't like what's going on in the draft right now, where I already see that they're just addressing, oh, they pick PA, oh, we kill bad, oh, we need a rupture to try and deal with it. It makes not a lot of sense with the Spectre, it makes not a lot of sense with this Undying Rubik. Maybe with the Rubik for the lane, but still, there are picks in the game that could maybe make this come more together, find a way to scale into them, win the fights, get the Roche, play some team fights to actually make it happen for your team.
So is that what you think they're lacking on the LGD side? They just need some so it's damage from objectives and maybe some more team fight.
Some way to force the fight. It can happen through objectives, it can happen through Roche, it can happen through catching them with a spirit hero.
As for the last game, I'm going to try to make a case for LGD, for the LGD fans or the ones that are hopeful to see a game 4. They have very strong lanes. I mean, Bloodseeker versus PA, you know, I speak from experience. Like, as an off-laner, I can tell you this is a free lane. He's going to have the lane of his life, especially with Rubik on this lane. You know, they did see the Magnus and they decided to go with the Undying Spectre, so I can only assume that they're happy with this lane too. So now these are 2 side lanes and they're going to get the last pick for nothing to say. He has proven that he can, you know, truly dumpster lane if he's given the tools.
Tinker's still in the pool this game.
Yeah, that's very interesting.
I think he plays an insane Tinker.
They also have a way to force these fights. I mean, at the end of the day, they do have the Rupture plus Tombstone, and that is a way to fix the fight somewhere, you know, and force them to fight into the Tombstone, give the Rubik freedom to position himself around the fight how he wants and gets his spells off. And we all know what ZQ can do when he's enabled in these fights. There are ways for LG to make that happen. I see the Tinker. Then the Tinker would actually, Tombstone, Night Vision, Blonde Seeker amplifying.
I wouldn't be worried about how are they forcing a fight with this Tinker. How are they actually catching a hero? It has to be the Rupture, it has to be the Lift. I don't think it's the best and easiest ways to force fights.
Early on, Rupture, ATOS, they have to build on it.
ATOS would be really good. Yeah, it would be really good timing for them.
They have to build on top of that. And I see how the Tinker makes all nothing to say, one of the best Tinker players in the world. Incredible Tinker, actually. So good on the hero. You get the Spectre with the Axe, you get the Dagger Vision, meaning you get the enemy hero's vision. So Tinker's gonna see everything. He's gonna be amplified by Blood Rage and the Nighttime Tombstone Vision. Everybody's tanking the Tinker spells. Very beautiful pick in my opinion that can, once again, it might enable their entire lineup if they are willing to look at it.
Well, it's not for Toronto here. So there's a lot of heroes that are banned. Yeah. Do you feel like you need like a preemptive Tinker counter though? Because when you support Tinker, it might seem so free on the Eagles. I'm very free right now.
He has to follow the Tinker angle. He has to. But no Puck, no Storm, no Void Spirit, no Ember Spirit. I don't know, man. Like most of the heroes that he would want to take are kind of gone.
Okay. That's a Toronto hero, but it's not an inherent Tinker counter. You can catch him, but you don't stay on top of him.
And nothing to say, he was a Tinker spammer. When he was like a C pump star, he was one of those guys.
Yes, give us an NTS C Tinker. We want to see it. Don't go out without it. He is the king of this hero. Come on, make it happen. Okay, perfect.
I think this is the worst game I've seen, like, the draft that looks cohesive with the
I'm a huge Tinker believer. I believe that if you play this hero to the limit and you find ways to push his timings this game, I think he's going to shine. I think you're going to see this hero popping off. And he's going to be making Team Spirit run away. They're going to be dying from rockets. It could be a massacre. It always has the potential. This hero is so strong this patch. And yeah, one of the best Tinker players. I hope to see fireworks.
Yeah, regardless of what we want to see with TI, I want the game 4 at this point, so for this game I'm all in LGD, I want it to take it. I want to see more Spirit, I want to see more LGD, I want to see more Dota, that's all I care about.
I want to see more Dota too, but I would be very happy to see Team Spirit win. I think you guys have shown the world some incredible games, and the beauty of the game, and the beauty of these heroes, and what you can actually make happen, so either way, I'll be happy for Team Spirit, but boy, I want to see more against it.
Exactly. And talk. You see it.
And the draft is finished, and we're going to head straight over to the casters with Insania, and they'll be next up.
Thank you very much, Yahweh. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Game 3 now of the Grand Finals. PSG against Team Spirit. Team Spirit up at the moment, 2-0. One game away from potentially taking that championship spot. Insane. We heard from the panel then during the draft. They were they predicted it perfectly, this Tinker, and they were excited to see it. Could this be what allows PSG LGD to maybe turn the tides and get the momentum back into their grasp in the series?
I mean, I absolutely think so. Out of all the drafts that we've seen from them, this feels the most LGD. I felt like in the last game they didn't really have a way to fight. I feel like LGD's like proven we're one of the best teams at fighting you. Last 2 games they just didn't have a chance to do it. So I really like this draft from them, and I think they have a way to, battle out against Spirit. But at the same time, I see a way for Spirit to deal with a Tinker. I don't think it's an on-counter Tinker. I just think of the way Toro plays, I could easily see him, get on top of the Tinker and pick him off and fight, come in from the sides with Meld, and, read the movement correctly. Because one of the themes for me about Team Spirit victories has been Vision, and Vision is the best way to deal with Tinker. This hero abuses Vision better than most heroes, so I think the Vision war that's going to happen between Spirit and LG is going to be really interesting.
Already going to see both teams head to head here. He's got a catch from even them white. They'll try and hide in the pit. I think the Rockets starting to come out from nothing to say. It's Team Spirit. They will back up in either side, able to get the grab that they wanted to potentially get that first blood. But let's see, as you say, definite potential here for PSG LGD and their lineup. But as we've seen so far, 2 games in which Team Spirit have looked to be completely in their comfort zone. And it does seem the pressure, it's certainly more so there for PSG LGD in this series.
Yeah, I absolutely think so, and I agree with something Notel said, where if this game starts looking bad, if the early game doesn't really go their way, I could easily see some potential crumbling coming out from LGD, but I feel like they have the makings of a good draft. When I look at it objectively, if this was like a first game of the series, I haven't seen either of these 2 teams play, I would have favored LGD's draft. I like what they're coming into this game with. They're setting up strong lanes, and they have Tinker to kind of provide the damage for later team fights.
One thing that to me that sort of stands out looking at the line of PSG LGD, whilst they've definitely got a lot of heroes to create that vision set for the team to go crazy in the team fight, sort of similar to I believe the game one draft, there's not a lot of stuns.
Yeah, you're right about that. And I think the idea here for them is that you're not really going to be committing into fights. You're not jumping a hero and then just trying to stun him and lock him down and chase him down. You're rather trying to burst somebody really quick and then resetting out. So the idea of using Rupture and then dropping Tombstone is going to be their key way of team fighting. And you're going to use Rubik primarily for counter initiation. So when somebody comes into your backline, or when somebody chases down the Bloodseeker, that's when you'll see the Rubik coming over the... That's when it's going to come in with a Clutch Tornado, or something along those lines.
We'll see how these lanes end up panning out here in the early game. And Yutoro on his PA, as we said, this time a hero that he has already put fall down on the main stage.
I love this from Yutoro. If you take a look at the bottom lane, he's so good at doing this. As soon as you see Zinky run for this block on the swamp camp, he doesn't care if he misses a creep or two. He immediately runs over, makes sure they get that pressure. Zinky immediately puts his TP out. So that's mana. That's a fate bolt that he's not going to be able to use on them. Plus he doesn't have a TP. So just really nice gameplay from Yutoro and helping out his position 5 player win these trades.
Right, stepping in there trying to get connection onto Jinkyu, but smartly keeping his distance. We'll have to watch out when the level 2s are hit. I mean, this lane in general, when you see the Bloodseeker Rubik, do you feel that that is a lane that the PA can struggle against, or is it not too bad?
I think it's a good lane where they can kill the Rubik. Oh, and here we go. This is the first one.
They're going to try and again the first strike there in Porsche. First blood for him down in this lane. The trades favouring them here between the supports.
Yeah, so if you think about how the lane is structured, Bloodseeker Rubik, they want to slowly like harass you out of the lane. And if you think about Destructor PA, it's a similar story. But Destructor PA had Chilter on Rubik because the silence of Bloodseeker is so slow that you can't really save his Rubik if they go on him.
I'm going to this aggression in mid. Toronto Tokyo really fast, nothing to say.
Yeah. He does have a stall though, and the water rooms are up, so he should easily be able to run to the top one and pick it up for himself. Yeah, up top, Collapse is taking a lot of pressure from the Spectre Undying. I think the Spectre Undying is an interesting lane because you won't really see the Spectre connecting as much as the PA is to his carry and helping him, but you provide the vision from the dagger. There will always be that slow that enables Undying to get more hits in.
Sure, and you feel it's unlikely for the mag and the Willow to ever really get on top of the Spectre in the lane?
I think, so the idea for the top lane is that Undying's going to tank a lot of damage. He's going to be in your face, you're going to have to be hitting Undying and dealing with his mana for the first portion of the game. And that will leave the Spectre to get a lot of farm for free. However, the Undying has an issue because he runs out of mana at some point and he runs out of healing. And usually when he does that, he's forced to reset back. And then Spectre can take some pressure. But so far it seems like Ryan's doing a good job. He's just looking out these camps, providing vision. But you see this mirror immediately on top of deboarding the board. He reads it perfectly.
Yeah, knew exactly where he was heading. We'll go for a quick trip back to base hit. See mid. Toronto Tokyo is going to have to take the walk back. So a bit of space given. Nothing to say as he is starting to get ahead in this matchup, getting a good few denies in against the Invoker.
Yeah, and the Invoker's going to lose a full creep over experience here, plus the bottle refill from White. This is great gameplay from LGD, and I think this looks characteristic of LGD, right? You expect to see them do these things where they're optimizing everything that's happening. White runs in, drops a ward, denies himself the tower, blocks the Ancients, TP's mid, refills the bottle for nothing to say. This doesn't look like a phase team to me, you know? We were a little bit worried that maybe they're going to be feeling a little bit of tilt or pressure, but the way they're playing right now, it looks like their head's in the game.
I saw the start on the lane so far. Tokyo, he wants to try and play for the 4-minute rune, but I managed to do so. Extra backup was on its way over for PSGOG to keep control of that.
Yeah, so you notice both 4s are rotating from the runes, right? And in this situation, the Bloodseeker's pretty fine bottom. He can't really be harassed out of the lane because of how the thirst functions, and he just keeps regaining HP for every last set that he gets. Meanwhile, the mag up top, who's leaning against the Undying, runs into this impossible block where he can't really rock up to the lane and get gold. And I think as long as they play this rune game where they force the position for Elmira to move towards the middle lane, LGD's going to come out with a little bit of an edge out of the laning phase.
Oh, the core is definitely looking comfortable so far.
Yeah. Steven Poshka rotating over mid, setting up vision. There's so much vision around this middle lane for the Dire side. They don't want the sinker to go down.
Yeah, almost impossible to close in, nothing to say with this sort of setup from the team. It's going to ensure that he does get this good start.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you take a look at this Yes, you notice the Invoker's really falling behind. The Tinker almost has as many denies as the Invoker had last set, so like No-Tail and Seth mentioned, right, this is one of the best Tinker players in the entire world, and he's living up to that praise that he received on the panel.
But would you imagine that, even though it did get through as the last pick, do you think it was something that Team Spirit would have had in mind? They knew that this was going to be, there was potential of this coming up as the last pick for PSG LGD.
If I'm being honest, I don't feel like they really addressed the Tinker in their draft. I think this Evoker was more like this is what we're going to go with. The Fox has in trouble.
I'm going to try and chase him down. He's looking at the kinetic field off. Yatoro tries to turn one fake beyond the back up there from White. Trying to commit Yatoro, but can he get the kill in time? The stick charges. Yatoro's going to try and run him down the fake beyond. He's out to the side. Yatoro's not got the further vision. He is going to be able to jump out of the blood right though. Over the creepway.
It's all making vision.
See if they can chase him under the tower. They can't. Oh, they get him! Oh, they get him!
Crazy vision.
They still manage to see him there as GQ reaches in with a hard-hitting fake bomb.
Actually, I do believe that was the first vision.
Another posture. I mean, this is going to be potentially another one. Can they get him as well?
There's no way to challenge, but yeah, Bruce.
I mean, GQ, he wants to dive in. He's taking quite a bit of the down. It's in Toronto, Tokyo. Will TP over GQ. He'll get punished for this dive. So Toronto, Tokyo can find anything more here. Why still in the town? No TP, no matter. So they do dive in to get an extra kill on the disruptor of Bosky, but they lose 2 heroes for it. Toronto, Tokyo. Pretty nice kills for him as well, considering the slow start he was having in comparison to nothing to say in the mid. So being able to make that move and pick up 2 kills on the Invoker, that's going to get his early game back on track.
Yeah, absolutely. But we talked on this in the BP versus Team Spirit draft, how it's very important that you get earn targets on the Invoker, right? This is what enables the Invoker to play the game and be faster on the map. Unfortunately, he has not yet bought his earn, so despite getting these 2 kills, he doesn't fulfill the objective of getting 2 earn charges in the early game. So while it is good for them, it also has its drawbacks, and this is in large part due to how well Nothing to Say played his lane out.
It's been a lot less focus now around top as Collapse. Happily farming here in the lane against Arme, getting just as much as the Spectre. And that's going to be, after Game 2's performance, probably something to fear if your PSG LGD Collapse. Leaving 2-0-20 into their back.
Yeah, absolutely, middle lane, Nothing to Say is getting pressured. But you see here what Seba and No-Tail talked about. They don't really have the damage to punish him. They don't have the tools to really kill him. The Invoker's good at catching him, but he's not a hero that can stay on top of him and keep up putting damage, because as soon as you use your spells, that's kind of all you have in the tank. And in the bottom lane, you notice here how Yatoro doesn't feel as safe sitting on the lane. When the wave is pushed out, he's forced to move away from there because the rupture is up now and they have the ability to go on him. You can look at Team Spirit's position. They're expecting something to happen down here.
They certainly are. Yatoro just trying to farm the dagger from the blur.
Invoker's resetting back on the lane as well in the middle lane to set up for a potential TP.
See if GQ and Fake behind feel that they can strike. They're being careful. They know that a reaction will come out if they decide to try and dive in on Yatoro, so they won't fall for it.
But yeah, so far you notice as soon as the wave goes out of his tower, he's forced off. And Spectre's just comfortably sitting top. He knows that he can lane against the mag at this point and doesn't really feel the pressure. However, despite all of this, Spirit does have a slight gold lead all around.
Incredibly close though. PSG LGD, they're bringing extra numbers in for White. Brilliant try. They want to dive in, Yatoro to commit. But the rupture in, all over as well. Then he does the PA, Yatoro won't fall. So they can give a posture as well with the 4 of them and the 2 of them there. They certainly can. The pressure amounting from PSG LGD down this bottom lane. They know they can get it and get away with it, especially with local backup behind.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is the strength of Omega in the early game. Because once you place that hero, the enemy doesn't really want to TP it. They can't really respond for their heroes. They want to mirror start to this TP, but immediately cancel it right for them. You know what? I can't TP into the Simstone. It's not going to be a good fight for me.
See Collapse, trying to play around with GQ. They do have further members coming up. Team Spirit off the back of those depths down bottom. Yatoro, he'll move himself up to the top half of the map to farm up here. T1 town will be lost. PSG LGD with an early objective.
Is about to take the flood.
Yeah, they're just evening out the map, swapping sides here. You see even a scan going out in the trees, making sure that Nothing's here setting up. And one of the best ways to deal with Tinker is that you want to try to get these early towers, because Tinker abuses the towers on the map in order to fight. It provides him with safety, a place that he can TP to, come in and out, use all his mana, go back to base, do it again. So it's important for Team Spirit to try to get towers early because once Tinker comes online, it's going to be very difficult for them to do it.
Spirit to head over next. Spirit. Thanks again, man. I'll take some of the jungle away from LGD.
Yeah, so Tinker just finished up the link. This is going to be the first time he can fight. You have Rupture up. Look for that Rupture and Tombstone combination once more with a Tinker keeping in and dropping lasers and rockets.
Well, that's to be done without the horn. That's still out for about 80 seconds.
And it looks like they're playing impatient. They don't feel rushed to make this move yet. And this is another of the nice parts about Undying. Unlike most fives, he has the ability to farm jungle camps quite easily because he just drops a Tombstone, and the Tombstone deals damage over time and spawns all these zombies that allow him to farm these camps and get some extra gold. So he's closing in on a 6.
It's alright. The space is in. Clearing up the stacks. Keeping his farm on par with that of Arme. A uniquely good time, of course, building straight into the stats right now. Falcon Bladed PSMY has the buff off of beam power.
Yeah. As soon as that power runs out, look at Collapse. He immediately runs over. And this goes back to what Seth talked about, right? This game is more about the empower. They're not playing around this gear right the same way that they were in the previous games. Now the smoke going down bottom.
So if the 3 members of Spirit can find some action, they do have 6 on the supports. Static Storm and the Fear ready to play with. PSG LGD, they're doing a great job of avoiding this. Arme is down here on his own.
Radiant's bottom tower faces
Yeah, it looks like they're waiting for the haunt, but Arme's about to get caught. Spirit has sniffed him out.
Let's see if the 3 have the damage. Try and set up with the root, but not going to get the connection. The glimpse back is there into the Static Storm. Tripping the coming over. Arme is he tacking up to the clear. Static Storm is still alive, but in fact he's able to deploy it and he's catch him. Is that enough damage? Arme will live. Only Spirit that lose the 2 heroes off the back of that attempt.
Yeah, and in the meanwhile, you see, as always, Team Spirit really smart about their map building. If Tora moves into the enemy jungle, starts farming here, Tinker's forced to come top and defend the tower, and despite losing their 2 supports, they're applying the pressure. And whenever Tombstone's used, you're going to see LGD kind of wait off. So this is 40 seconds that they know your Tora's most likely going to be allowed to farm pretty freely. And that's why he's up here in the moment so aggressively. Collapse is the next target.
Trying to chase Fake Beyond. To get in range for the Rupture. Collapse into the trees, hard to find. Won't get the setup. Halfway towards his Blink Dagger Collapse.
Yeah, much better vision game this time around for LGD. Their wards are not getting dewarded the same way they were in the previous games. They actually have quite a lot of vision here to play with, and a lot more information than we've seen them have in the previous 2 games of the series.
There's a calm start once again, but very close. 13 minutes in, less than 1k in it. PSG LGD, despite the 2 rough games they've had so far against Spirit, seemingly regaining their control that's managed to drive them straight through the upper bracket into this grand finals. See if they can keep it up. Bottom, Spirit. Start for a bit of a poke onto Y. Just the 2 of them is not enough to deal with the Undying. They look to commit anything else here, Spirit. They know there's potentially backup behind the Undying.
Yeah, and the Tinkers decided to go for the Aghanim Scepter. The way this works is whenever he lasers someone, they lose a chunk of their maximum HP. So versus these type of heroes that Team Spirit has, he's going to be very, very quick at killing them.
Nice quick move. It's alright. Fake Beyond, they're looking to try and burst the blood team, but the counterplay comes in. With the whole last of Collapse, jumps on the launch, Tori drives the DPS away. For Collapse, there'll be no escape for him.
Yeah, just great presence here from LGD. Now they're the ones that are allowed to respond, and it seems like they understand now how Spirit's playing the pace of the map, and they understand what Spirit wants to do. They're going to make assumptions based on their movement. And it feels like LGD are getting a better and better read of it. And yeah, I think that's largely due to the fact that they're able to establish more vision on the map this time around.
It's alright. Back to the farm. Wants to at least get his SMY done before turning into the fights. But even with just that, the BKB may be something that he wants to hold back until he has as well. Single laser will never be fun to play against as a PA when he's trying to focus targets. One lane. This time around, Spirit will get the big kill, but it has cost them both supports lives. Was he trying to escape? They got any way to find him in?
There's one more sentry.
He's out of the trees. He's out of the Mr. Spencer, you happy with that, your Spirit?
I think Spirit's okay with it. I think this is like, LG recognizes that our Tinker is so strong right now. There's no real counterplay. Even if the PA gets on top of him right now, the PA doesn't do enough damage to burst them. So I think for LGD, you want to try to use this timing where your Tinker's very small and he's not doing damage. And Ahmed dying once or twice here or there while he doesn't have Haunt isn't the worst for them, as long as they get some sort of response in return.
Back to the farming. 800 or so, the axe to be done on Arme. They are on track to hit a very good timing. And we've seen already the responses from PSG LGD each and every time Spirit try and make a move have been top tier. But now, the move that Spirit can make, it's going to be much more deadly. Collapse, the Blink Dagger, on its way over to be in his hands. We saw what he was achieving last game when he was jumping all over the place. Let's see if he can pull it up again and start to literally tear PSG LGD apart with his abilities to just grab them and throw them around the battlefield.
Yeah, absolutely. But this game is much more challenging than the previous ones. There's going to be rockets flying at you. There's going to be tombstone zombies. You have many things that are going to get in your face, as well as the Bloodseeker Blood Right. So you're going to have to both navigate these spells and make sure Lane doesn't get caught before that. Plus on top of that, there's a Haunt Right to prevent all this vision for LGD. So I feel like the way the game is shaping up, it's falling a lot into Yatoro's hands. And he's proven that he can do it.
Yeah.
But his farm and the way he plays his game out is going to be very key in order for them to be able to stand a chance against LGD.
No, absolutely. As I say, this BKB, if you can get this quickly, that's going to be a huge nuisance. Not too much they can do through it. The Rupture being the main one. If the setup's there and Collapse, Posture, Mirror, they're able to hold the heroes in position. This PA is not going to have to step around the fight too much. As long as they're able to stand in position and get the hits in, they can have the heroes brought to them.
Absolutely. Ahmed finished up his Aghanim's, and once they get this on that timing coming, you see LG immediately smoke up. They're checking for wars. They don't essentially block the Ancients. They know the PA is playing in this area. Unfortunately, they just made the wrong guess. So you either you're going to assume that he's at the two camps up in where they are right now, or that he's playing at the Ancients. But look at Toro. He sniffed it out.
It's so hard to catch this man. He's just always a step ahead.
I mean, the way they're reading the map is just very intelligent. I think they realize when the Spectre runs back to base that, hey, something's probably happening, right? He's not just running back to base because he wants to. They know that the item is very likely coming. And then when all the heroes then disappear, that is like another sign for your okay, I can't show.
It's hands on to Toronto Tokyo down bottom. Azame, never jumped by, but Sentry still down. Toronto Tokyo trying hard himself. Retreat. Stay on to the tower off the mid. They will lose frame behind. The counterplay was made by Spirit. So the CP out as well. Here gets back to safety, so 1-for-1 across the
wide
map here.
2 seconds for the skewer. Glimpse, skewer back.
But the dagger slow to set it up, and he's able to dodge it to K90 so that he didn't get hit. He'll get the flip drop. But now Arme, he's ready to come back in. Toro's up to the face. The rock is still in up, but nothing to say. He jumps in to finish him off. The fear of the counterplay here from Spirit. Nothing to take his squad underneath the tower. And the bonus damage into the wall in the back. That's the start of the tower underneath the tower. Nothing to say. Surely going to go down. He will collapse. You're over into the trick collapse. He's still alive here. Can they quite find him? Wise coming back over. Tempting the collapse. Finding him back to the table. But it's battle underneath the tower. It's costing PSG lives as well. Root down. Catching the two. Pushing it back into it with a definite blast. Alright. He's going to turn back over one. Toronto Tokyo's going to jump in. Close the gap. On the Ivanka Mirror. Can they help him out? They cannot. Are they able to finish off Toronto Tokyo as well?
That was beautiful. I loved the way that Windows 8 played that team fight. He recognized that if this PA is dead, there's no damage coming out of the Spirit draft. So trading with life for PA is really going to enable this entire fight to happen. You'll see a lot of Tinker players just, they're like, I'm not going to go in, I might die. But you recognize that my death is worth it if I can take the PA with me. Just beautifully executed there from LGD. Ame also, small thing in the fight, TV's back to base, heals up, uses his Aghanim Scepter to jump back into the team fight and get those last couple of kills.
Ame is crazy. We're seeing the power of that Shadow Step. He's in and out consistently, that 30-second cooldown. Easily able to do it a couple of times in a team fight.
Yeah, mirror up, nice play. Knows there's no stuff that can catch him here, so there's no hero on the Rubik, he's not going to get caught during that. We have another big interesting item coming up. There's going to be the Holy Locket for the Undying, and once he has Soul Rip maxed out, or he already has Soul Rip maxed out, together with the Holy Locket, this healing is ridiculous. So basically the way it works is the more units there are, the more you're going to heal. And with Tombstone and the way it functions, you just spawn a bunch of extra units. So you're almost always going to get that maxed out. So any sort of healing tool together with Spectre's Dispersion just deals incredible amounts of damage in the team fights. I feel like LGD's draft is really coming together now.
Absolutely. So the way that we just have seen them so far this series, mid lane, they're looking to jump out to try and take it. What are you going to tell them? Push tornado. Attention from PSG. Books out over towards Mirror. There's the shadow realm though. They're still on the dark. It's dropping down the tombstone. Just full aggression from PSG. Driving past the two on tower. The Rockets, they're coming away. He's going to get up and come on over. He's in straight on top of him.
That's just beautiful. They're using these visuals so nicely. You have the Tombstone, you have the Bloodseeker. There's so many ways to get vision in these team fights.
I mean, this Arme Spectre's looking pretty spooky. He's picking up the kills, the involvement here. PSG LGD just fighting their way to the team for so far. TV's giving him a spirit one. Trying to run out to your turret. No, Soren healing one up. He's going to stay on top of the end. He's going to take him out.
Able to get away. Oh, that's close.
Saving him here as well as Jan. Nothing to say. In with the laser. And out he goes as well, picking up the action. 2K lead now for PSG LGD. They're starting to break down Spirit.
Yep, they absolutely are, but a very, very important item is about to come into the game, and that is the PA BKB. He's 100 gold off of it, and he's going to have it in the next team fight. And the way this changes the game is the Tinker can no longer just laser the PA and force him to read it out. Your opponent has 9 seconds to read decides what he wants to do. And if those 9 seconds get him the right kills, that's going to be everything they need in order to win the fight.
And during that time, you know, you saw it. Where's he looking first? Is it sort of this Tinker? Does he have to just commit onto nothing to say to eliminate the threat from the rest of his team?
I mean, the ideal scenario, right, is that you kill the Tinker with a PA BKB, because the only thing really covering you against the Tinker is that BKB. Once the BKB runs out, you're going to see the Tinker lasering you, rocketing you, refreshing, laser rocket again. So the ideal scenario for him is he's allowed to meld and kind of hang around the fight as it breaks out, and then once the Tinker commits in, that's when he jumps.
Well, smoke coming in from PSG LGD. They are very ready to fight. Especially with Arme heading back to the 83 set. He's ready to shadow step in if he's needed. But still on the high ground. Collapse is just keeping out. Excellent kinetic field from Mipochka stops them from being able to chase in. Put a stop to the escape here from Spirit.
Looks like Spirit might want to chase into this stuff, but they should recognize that Tombstone's been dropped on the high ground, and it might be a hard fight for them.
With the BKB, just goes to work straight away onto Y. He should be able to get this. Yeah, Y's dead for sure. The crit comes in. Y will fall.
LGD are hanging around though. They recognize the importance of this BKB.
They've got a bit of a window now to maybe punish your Spirit. Stick around, but they won't. Back behind the tier 2 tower, Spirit will hold back.
Yeah, tense game. This BKB really is going to be important. So using the first 9-second charge to get dying, it's okay, but it needs to lead to something. You know, this opens up some time. This gives them some time to farm. Hopefully they can deward some of the vision that LGD are playing with. And if they manage to do these things, and they can reset the map to a position where they can farm up and they can get to the PA shard, if they can get these items that the PA needs in order to punish the LGD draft, then it's all good. But if those BKB charges get wasted for support kills that don't lead to more, then it's problematic for them.
PSG LGD, they're trying to sneak the Roshan. Won't be the quickest though, and already actually deciding that they don't want to spend any further moments committing. Spirit potentially around the area, and they are. Spirit more than happy to fight. Blink RP at the ready. The big old Sarah for PSG LGD though as well. Horn good to go again for Arme. Beautiful goal lead for the man to start as well.
Yeah, Wyatt leading the charge. All he needs to do is get that Tombstone down before the fight starts, and he's going to do it as soon as the smoke pops.
He's going to pop it down immediately to see what he can find. Will just be Mira. The shadow around the TP out will get him away from this, so now no Tombstone for the fight.
Yeah, but he does have that level 10 talent. This was recently added. The minus 15 second Tombstone cooldown makes it less of a committal when you use it.
Toronto Tokyo. And he's going to in the Bloodseeker commit fake beyond. Just turns straight away. Morning Toronto Tokyo was not prepared for that at all. Just standing there in the mid, and Faith Beyond finds a very tasty surprise.
And now, if the Undying would have had that Tombstone ready, he would have had that ulti ready, you could have seen LGD potentially poking at the Roche. What they ideally want is for... okay, they actually already do have the Mantle Inspector, so never mind, because that is just their worst Roche tool. Once you get Mantle Inspector, you have the Desolate to deal true damage to the Roche, and then it goes out very quickly. But they're happy with the pace of the game right now. They're happy with how it's playing out. Shark finished on PA.
He's coming across this tree line. He knows that Nothing to Say is playing here behind the tower. He's going to try for the catch, won't get it. Goes for the attempt, but Nothing to Say out of range.
And power stolen by Rubik as well, by the way. So the Spectre is now matching the PA's farm speed.
About 2k in it at the moment between Arme and Yatoro. But definitely having that ability on their side as well will help him close the gap. Online for the Skadi next after the Manta.
Yeah, intense game. Both teams just holding their high grounds, understanding where they're strong. Neither of them willing to fight into the other team's vision. If you look at how Y is positioned, he's standing right outside of that ward until he's ready to run in.
Do they want to fight? On the low ground, Tombstone dropped. As soon as it's out, Team Spirit, they'll retreat.
Yeah, I think this is a very intelligent thing that LGD have recognized in this game. They've been dominating their division for 2 games straight, and they feel like, you know what, maybe they're better at running than me. How do I solve it? Take care of the division.
He's looking the ground with a face. He's going to lock that down. He reaches the 3 goal. Sunday comes in. They should also feel the Selling Service on small. Yatoro's going to look to burn those guns as well. Go for the team away. Gets all. They all get it on Spirit.
I think you just barely missing the RP on the PM there. That would have been a massive kill. But you've seen this from Spirit, right? As soon as that BKB is ticking low, he has to TP out of the fight.
Yeah, they know exactly when to sort of just get out of that. They get their kill, they get their trade. They know not to push it for anything more. Team Spirit knowing the exact moment to call it quits and reset.
Yeah, absolutely. Yatoro's playing this game excellently. But I do worry once this BKB starts sticking out, the Tinker's closing in on a Hex, right? So even the threat of potentially jumping on him is going to be hard. You see Yatoro's also buying the Desolator. It's not a basher. It's an item that will allow him to necessarily kill the Tinker if he has that Hex.
They're going to go for the Roche now. They know there's no RP. So they have the damage to take this out and see if Spirit still want to try and make a jump into them.
Yeah, so between the laser, the Mantle Spectre, the Undying damage on the engagement.
Quite nicely timed. Roshan is very low. Any potential for a steal?
Yeah, absolutely. Yatoro might go.
He's not going to get it. He's not going to get it. Arme gets the kill. The Aegis on the Spectre now. They've got to be cautious. Yatoro pops the BKB, but he's been so low. Throughout the daggers, but they're surrounded by PSG. Mapochka as well. Caught in the river. They couldn't make the jump in time, and Yatoro just getting burst so heavily before he could actually get the BKB off there.
Yep, excellent gameplay from LGD right now. They're banging on all cylinders.
They are. We did not see anything close to this in the first 2 games. PSG LGD finding their confidence, their fire, as they're heading back hard here in his 3rd game.
Yeah, absolutely. I just feel like the way that they've approached Vision this game is just so smart. I think this is what they were missing in the first 2 games. These tools that provided a vision and the adaptation to recognize that is amazing.
Just up and jumping around the back. They're still around the damage. 2 overbearing from Arme and his illusions.
Alright, so for the side of Spirit here, I think it's getting increasingly difficult. You're starting to feel the pressure of the Tinker. You recognize that, you know what, there's that Hex, there's that Aghanim's, and once my BKB's out, I'm not really sure how to fight into these heroes. And we haven't really seen Toronto Tokyo in this game. He hasn't really had a game, so this Tinker pick from PSG LGD is played out beautifully.
It's definitely turning into a game where when you look at the farm on the course, a lot is on Yatoro's shoulders, whereas on the side of PSG LGD, the world very evenly split between Nothing to Say and Arme, both of these cores, and it's just in combination with one another. Spectre, Tinker, nobody wants to play against a good mid-laner Logic Q! He's in using the RP to catch Yatoro! Completely off guard! He wasn't ready for that at all! He's going to try and turn the fake out of the sword. He'll come down! The Meteor crashing down on the Bloodseeker. They find him in return. Mirror lost it in position here. Wyatt trying to look towards him, but the field holds back the Undying. Mirror gets away. But a quick move there for Jinky.
They're still not ready though. They want to look for more.
See, jump over the wall. Tokyo. He's out of mana. He's out of luck. Arme continuing to be an absolute beast this game.
And the team fights are just so hard for Spirit, and especially if Yatoro isn't there to play the fights for them. They really need him. What a beautiful initiation from the Rubik there with the RP. You know, whipped the one earlier up top, but gets the more important one here mid.
I mean, they're down 8k at the moment. How on earth do they just approach any sort of team fights at this stage with the Spectre just jumping into their faces? And as you say, the vision, the counter abilities from PSG to just disrupt any sort of move or jump the Spirit are trying to make themselves. It seems that this time around, Spirit, they're the ones in the impossible position.
Yeah, I think they're off balance, right? They probably played this entire tournament playing off of vision advantage, having information advantage. And in this game, they don't. They have one team in an area where they can't really punish Tinker. That's far up top. They're not really going to bring their heroes to that side of the map. And then in the bottom area, the only board that they have to fight around is also an area that you won't really see LGD approaching.
See this movement. Angels into the rope shot, trying to Tokyo in trouble. They've got the BKB. We'll see Army heading on top of him. We'll get Glennis back. And we'll get the space for Toronto Tokyo to stand his ground. The rope should wear off. Looking for setup on the side. They're going to catch up to Wadi. He'll come in, takes it. Let's get caught up on it. Hates there. Deep third. Gets the BKB off the top there. Yatoro will survive. Over to one fake behind he goes. He might chase forward and the Sunstrike just off the mark. VPN will live. So will Yatoro. That time getting so close once again to being burst. The life steal coming in big. Did just grab that Paladin sword before that last play. Almost certainly saving his life there with a big burst heal through the crits.
Yeah, absolutely. I was like, where did that healing come from? I did not see that coming. So yeah, that does make a lot of sense. And he gets that second hex off. That's the one
that was scary.
It's really coming down to, you know, those micro decisions that you make in these team fights. He thought he could get the burst damage out in time. Seemed like the wrong choice this time around.
I mean, 32 minutes in. PSG still incredibly comfortable position. Look at the map control as well. They've only lost one tower so far in this 32 minutes. Very impressive control and just sort of forcing Spirit to almost play a different game that they would have wanted to. It was clear that Spirit came into this wanting to deal with PSG the same way they have done in the first two of this series. It's not work this time. Spirit, we're going to have to see something different from them. Something that we have seen before in previous series, but not something they've necessarily brought out today.
Yeah, and if you click on Yatoro, you're going to notice that he's feeling the pressure of the Tinker. That is a refresher queued up. Alright. And if you think about how PA works, that's really mainly for the BKB. He feels like he needs that extra duration of Black King Bar in order to be survivable in these fights and win the game. It's really, if it works out, this will be a genius item. I'm really interested to see how it plays.
Focus around the mid lane here for Spirit.
What a play by Y. He put his courier on the hill to get up the
It's going to trigger the jump on him, but immediately the telekinesis comes out for GQ. Catching collapse in the corner. For the TP of the York is there. Yatoro trying to get him with a BKB. He'll turn everyone's eye, but Harley can jump in the corner. Yatoro has to go with a BKB TPL. Collapse goes down. Yatoro will be able to save himself. PSG look to see if they can chase for more. Fabian trying to run down Toronto Tokyo. Invoker just to speed it himself. One managed to break away.
What an unbelievable play by Y though. He just put his courier on this hill, waiting for that ward to come out, recognizing that if they smoke, middle lane's where they're going to go.
And they're going for more. They're ready to try and get the jump in onto Yatoro, but Yatoro blinking straight over to the safety of Mirror on the high ground. Means they won't get a further catch in. PSG there now looks to back off. Still 30 seconds without collapse.
Yeah, the pressure is on. We see nothing to say. Buying that Aeon Disc, he was queuing up the BKB, recognizing though, the problem for me is not really the magic damage. It's potentially getting locked down by the PA and getting bursted. So Aeon Disc will solve that problem for him. And their items are just gearing them up to not die. You see also, same thing for Ame. He knows that PA doesn't really want to buy an MKB. It's not an item you traditionally see on the PA. It forces PA to deviate from a standard item. So buying that butterfly here is going to force the PA to play his game. And now the PA is suddenly reacting to the Spectre's item instead of the other way around.
Because what do you do in this situation now, Yatoro? What is the call with his next item?
It's a hard decision, right? Yeah. And this is what LGD are doing so well. They're forcing you into a position where you might make a mistake. Maybe he buys the wrong item. Maybe he now decides to go for the MKB, but then his BKB is too short to fight. Or you're just making this problematic for Team Spirit. You want to make it as hard as possible for Yatoro to do what's right.
He's even thinking about the axe as well. A lot of options here for Yatoro.
Yeah, it's difficult choice. I don't know what the right one is.
We'll see if he does either. A very tough place to play from. Yeah, 13k. Both nothing to say, and Arme's power just continuing to grow.
And we talked about this a lot, but you know, Roshan's about to spawn. Heroes start moving over to the top side, secure that area. Y already has the ward down. Notices there are no heroes there. That means we know where Spirit are. An immediate smoke over.
Collapse. He's out of the lead. Same can't be said from the Postula. Disruptor will die. Mira and Yatoro, this is a spooky place to be. Yeah, they'll have a poke and an immediate TPO. They're not messing around. They know how quick PSG OGD is going to be with these responses. Collapse is on the cliff. Nothing to say. He's quite happy to join us.
Not really quite sure what was going on there. Maybe he was attempting to D-ward while he saw the hero's bottom and saw the TPs on the tier 1 bot tower. But Roshan has spawned. Click on Y. He has everything ready. Tombstone ready. Oh, this Rosh is going to go down extremely quickly as soon as Onyx connects over.
I mean, 50 seconds without Collapse. That's unlikely they're going to be able to do anything without him alive. Is there any world that they buy back to contest this, or they just let this go?
I feel like based on the way they're positioned, it might be hard to get there in time. So the buyback option probably is not there. It seems like Yatoro now has seen this Tinker flying beyond it, so what does he do? He buys the appropriate art for his box. He's going to go for the normal fire.
So many choices, and Yatoro, he's got to make the right one.
I think Team Spirit have recognized that as long as this Tinker's alive, there's no way that we're going to win the long fight, and we're going to constantly be forced to TP out as soon as Yatoro's BKB ends. And for Team Spirit, I think the way that you need to fight here is you need to set it up in a way where you initiate, force the Tinker to show himself, and then have Yatoro go in. And at the same time, flip side for Team Spirit, for PSG LGD, you know that your 4-man is stronger. If both Yatoro and the Tinker stay out of the fight, you have the advantage. So just don't show nothing to say too early in a team fight. Allow your team to play the game 4v4, and then come in and beat the PA as soon as he comes.
Again, falling back into a peaceful era here for Team Spirit, at least, where they don't have any interest in meeting PSG LGD head-to-head whilst there is the Aegis on Arme.
And for the first time in this game, Spirit has finally been able to establish some sort of vision in the bottom area of the map. We noticed them doing this time after time. When they fall behind, they like to take over the enemy triangle. They feel like it's a comfortable place for them to fight in. And even in this game, you notice that here we go again. Up into this radiant triangle, or dire triangle. Wait for the Tinker to show up. If the Tinker comes to that wave, they're going to be right on top of him. But it seems like Nothing to Say is played plenty of Tinker games.
It's certainly is.
Like it costs.
Arme, a quick jump over the bottom lane, adding another kill to his scoreboard, 9, 1, and 15.
Yeah, and interestingly, this takes off with a long illusion damage.
See it. Attempt on the play, Yatoro. He's going to get caught out by the bash. And he's got to get out of it. Yatoro is going to be getting TP out. The disarmament is there under the Spectre, so no chance of a bash. As Yatoro looking at the same note to be sent for Toronto Tokyo, though. There's nothing to say. How's his number?
I mean, Nothing to Say has really turned it up this game. I mean, I'm really impressed with his Tinker decision making. It's just very, very intelligent. Has not gotten caught a single time from the lanes, I think. And the way he teamfights is just beautiful. He knows what to wait for. He knows who to look for. This is a completely different PSG LGD.
It really is. It really, really is. It's looking fantastic. This is the power that we've seen from PSG LGD in the series before, in this run in the upper bracket. And it's coming out just where it's needed the most. They were knocked down hard in the first 2 games, and I think a lot of people were definitely going to be interested to see if they could somehow regain that control. It's not an easy place to be in, as you said. For them, the pressure incredibly high in this. They will not accept anything less than first place.
Yeah, absolutely. We have another fight through it. This is the only side of the map that Spirit has wards on. So Spirit are not willing to take this team fight into LGD. I'm really curious what fight they're going to look for. This is the one, I think. Can't go on middle. The Aegis protects him.
2 minutes still with that safety on the Spectre.
But yeah, if we think about the mentality of LGD coming into this game, right, the pressure was definitely on them. I mean, Johan and Seb talked about what they saw backstage, what they saw in their expressions. I'm sure this kind of momentum for them is huge. And it's something that you need in order to win TI, right? You need to have that attitude of champions.
BKB, still see the jump from Arme. He's in with the bash onto Toronto Tokyo.
He's playing with so much confidence on this turn. I was talking about how you need to wait out for the PA, but he recognizes, you know what, there's no way to PA's bottom here, and just full commits into the base.
Level 26 on the Tinker right now.
He is incredibly far. He's going to finish with Bloodstones before, not Training Core, sorry.
I mean, without a doubt, we saw how much Collapse could do last game when he was just in the lead ahead, just playing around with He's going to make some big moves here for the defensive position as he is losing teammates around him to the consistent dives from PSG. He'll try and get the grab here. Onto Hame, it's not going to happen. Forced back to the fountain. PSG, they've got all the space in the world to push it onto the tier 3. Can Team Spirit get them out of it? There's no buyback for Toronto Tokyo, still down for 30 seconds. Without Mirror as well. They'll have to at least let one set of ranks go down here. There's no defense to be had quite yet for Spirit.
That's so hard to fight into this tombstone. You saw Yatoro kind of thinking he was looking for that potential wraparound, but recognizing that, you know what, my team won't be able to support me. Even if I can catch the Tinker in the back lines, I don't have the power to kill him on my own.
Look how much money he's got, 6k. Gold in the bank here. Nothing to say, he can really start picking up whatever he wants now. Just filling up those inventory slots.
Yeah, absolutely. Finishes up that Octarine core. Just wants the mana pool.
Have a momentary pause here. 15 to 30. 24,000 net worth lead for PSG LGD. The numbers looking very good for them right now.
I have a hard time. I'm trying to think of scenarios for Spirit. It feels difficult to find a way to do it. But I really like this choice from Yatoro. I think this refresher could be genius. It could just be the thing that they need.
I mean, the problem is, even if they get these kills right on the defensive Team Spirit, it's a Spectre and a Tinker. You kill these heroes, they're buying back, their boots are traveling over, they're haunting in, they're shadow stepping back into the action. Killing them once is not going to be enough. PSG LGD will use the opportunity to get in and destroy you, even if they lose a core at the start.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you're totally right about that, Owen, and that is why they are so far ahead, right? They have all these options, they have all of these tools, but if anything could potentially catch them off guard, I mean, PA refresher, when have you seen that? I think once that BKB runs out, expect Nothing to Say to blink in to be ready to hex. And if he gets a refresher off, if Nothing to Say didn't click on a PA, that could mean his death.
I mean, it would be quite something if this build does have the impact possible. But will it be enough? It seems like a pretty big ask here when they're as down as much as they are in this game 3.
Let me tell you, as a player in this position, these kind of pauses, it's the worst thing that could possibly happen. It throws you off your momentum.
Well, for who, the team that's ahead or behind?
I mean, I'd say for both. I think it's really sad for both sides. I wouldn't say it's like, oh, Spirit's getting an advantage, but when you are playing like the pressure, you're playing with the way LGD are, your mind is so zoned in into thinking, what are they doing now? Where are they moving next? How far could they have potentially gotten in the time that it's gone from me last seeing them on the map? And all of these small micro senses that you have where, like, let's say Yatoro shows on the top lane, and then 15 seconds passes, you know where Yatoro approximately could be because you know how fast the hero moves. Everything like that, it's thrown off by this kind of pause. And that's why usually if you think about it, after pauses in pro games, you see somebody getting picked off or somebody making the wrong judgment call. And it's because this like micro senses that you're used to playing off of gets thrown off.
Especially in a game such high stakes here as the grand finals, the international 10. Spirit, as you can see, up 2-0 right now in this best of 5. As this game 3 goes, looks like PSG LGD will be able to stop the potential of a 3-0 clean sweep here for Spirit.
I just really hope there's no initiation in the next 30 seconds after this pause, because that would really suck for both sides.
There we go. We're ready to get the action back on its way, ladies and gentlemen.
I can feel my heart pounding with that on-pause there.
You know how the players are feeling.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, looks like hopefully there's no initiation here, so we survived the pause.
Pretty far away from one another. Yatoro, just a recipe away from the refresher, so certainly want to get that done. Ideally, maybe hit the 25 if he can before the next fight is forced.
And which talent do you take though? The coup de grace is great. You get more damage, but the tripling Stifling Dagger might just catch out a support at one shot if you're not paying attention.
I feel like the Guru round might be it because you got to kill some. I mean, one of your items is a refresher. You're not maxed out on the damage.
Yep, you're
making sure that the crits are hitting harder. Could be pretty essential if you're Tora. But then again, the triple is nice if you know like mega creeps are going to be coming in. If you feel like you're losing some lanes of barracks, you need to push back out. So
I'm also thinking for the team fight, right? How we know that Yatoro has to wait out. He can't fully commit straight at the start. Actually, he'll be forced to waste his VKB.
And they do have, of course, the Empower. You know, the triple Stifling Daggers with the Empower on them. That's very
Quick fingers from Artotokyo, but he's caught.
Yeah, they've got to catch him. BKB in, he'll try and walk away. See if he's able to make it out. He's been ruptured. He's going for the TPR, but the BKB comes to an end. And Soren has escaped. He'll try and hold them back with a tornado, but there's nothing more to hold them back with. Yet Soren, he's going to be the new focus. Down he's over and walking down in those trees to try and stop the chase. Like the activity with the BKB. Yet Soren will manage to make it out, but Poshka's well in the trees, hidden out as he TPs.
That's a beautiful reset there from Team Spirit. I actually thought they were going to have way more casualties, but quick fingers from Yatoro, blinking the top and bottom. Great team play there with a static storm to cancel. Tinker potentially chasing for more kills.
So yeah, you're taking the chance here, having up the damage. The gold for that refresher of just a few hundred away.
I'm so excited for this refresher. I'm going to be honest. I just want to play exactly. I want to know how it plays out. And now he has it.
And he does.
Immediate smoke up.
They would have seen the building, of course, with the perseverances, but it's just a question of whether Nothing to Say in particular is ready for it to be complete for the next fight. As you mentioned, if he's out of position, he comes in with a second round of BKB and nullifier. It could be deadly for Nothing to Say. You know, man on it, Tinker's had a pretty free game so far, jumping all over the place and bursting down the lineup of Team Spirit.
Yep. BKB finished all white. This Undying is not easy to bring down.
I look at his positioning as well, just having any chance of Spirit being able to make a move from their triangle.
I mean, the problem really for Spirit, like, how do you kill the other heroes? If not PA. If PA can't commit on them, how does anything die?
Of course, Peter Shiyoji there. Going to be feeling very comfortable. Nothing to Say, and I'm more than happy to farm up sort of their sixth item. Looking for the orchid into the Bloodthorn here for Arme. Nothing to Say. Getting close to having the comfort of the overwhelming blink, maybe even holding on for his life as well. Oh, past him. That's been quiet. He needs help, he needs it now. The BKB comes out. And that's been ruptured though. Doing Arme. He's in with the illusion surrounds him. No way for him to get out. Of course, he did spend on the refresher, so 100 seconds. No buyback on the Vita.
Yep, LGD firing back strong. What a catch from Fate Beyond. And then I feel like it just all ties back to the vision. This game, PSG LGD had vision. They were playing on even terms for most of the game.
Oh, Collapse, he tries to make the move. But the counter's there. Jinju, instant lift. Holds him in his tracks. As it's another corner out of the game. Collapse, Sanyatora, no way of returning for this defense. Rebecca Mira, the grab. Mira, also, outside the base. 3 dead on Spirit. PSG LGD, they're up to the ranks.
That's gotta be so satisfying for Xingqiu. Collapse of that match, just constantly skewering them back. And now finally he gets to do it himself.
Yeah, Collapse giving Xingqiu the respect as well there. With the words of Purge in the tip. I mean, this is what the PSG LGD fans expected to see from them in this grand finals. They just took a bit of time to turn up today, needed a bit of warm-up. The first 2 games, that was that. But this full power here, even just into the base, aren't they? Just killing off poor old Mapochka.
LGD are playing with such confidence, but at the same time patient. Whenever they need to slow down, you know they're doing it. Oh, the immediate roach spawn. Nice. They're very happy about this, I'm sure.
And nothing to be done about this from Spirit whatsoever. So fall straight into the hands of PSG LGD. As we'll see, Horror Posture has shown his best to defend against the creeps. And then suddenly, an Arme appears on top
gets the Aghanim's charge, our scepter. This is probably one of my favorite Aghanims in the game. It's always a great feeling when you have it as Rubik. So one of the cool things about this that I don't think we've ever talked about is when you spell steal, and most teams aren't aware that you have an Ag, they kind of think, alright, Rubik used it. You hear the sound, and then you're, okay, I can use my spells however I want. But with the Axe, that throws it off. That just makes it easier for you to get those big steals that you want to get. So, highly doubt Team Spirit will be ready for this, but to be fair, they've had a lot of time to sit in the base. Usually what you do during this time is you're starting to discuss everything. What is it that LGD can do? How do they approach this fight? What are they going to be looking for? What are we looking for? What are our objectives here? Which heroes do we need to go on? What spells do we need to save? All these things should be discussed for Spirit, and they should have a structured fight in mind here, because you can predict what's going to happen.
I mean, 40,000 gold down right now, Spirit. PSG LGD. It looks like a pretty smooth sailing here to the victory. Is there really anything the Spirit can pull off whilst this far behind?
I mean, it's a matter of finding the tinker. I really think that, of course, you can always win. In Dota, I feel like you always have the option of winning. And especially in late game, yeah, there's 40,000 net worth differentiating you, but there's no amount of net worth that will make up for a bad positioning or, you know, the clutch play. So formations is really important here for LGD. And if Yatoro can find some sort of backline kill, that could open the fight up entirely.
This is them looking phenomenal and completely in the comfort zone. Something that, after seeing the first two games, it was understandable to sort of doubt if we were